Yeah.
Yes, man. Town hall meeting in session. The man in the wilderness here. I'm here. I'm here. All
Is
right.
that a haircut you have there?
Well, that man tell a young boy, you could we can't just, but the man in the wilderness, have to stay forever youngly clean all over.
Well, young and clean. Yeah, yeah.
Sure,
Clean
sure.
cut.
I said have to stay, man. I keep up, Yeah, man. Today are nice, we are talk to Andre Hylton, farmer member of parliament. Up in a St. Andrew there, the
You
part of
say
Cleveland
Andre
Williams.
Andre
Andre
Hylton.
Hylton, yes.
Okay. And and
Yes.
and
He might
and
try login now. He might try login now.
where's he from? Upper St. Andrew?
No, he was the former member of yes. Cleveland
Microphone.
Williams.
Microphone. Can you hear me?
Of course,
Yeah,
Cleveland
yeah.
pretty.
Okay.
Cleveland pretty. All right. Hey, right away.
Right on
Good
time.
evening. Good
Yeah,
evening.
man.
Yeah,
I'm here,
man.
sir. Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, man. With a nice panel town hall meeting, we in session. You see, you're the man
Lovely.
always spend time at some hey, me just introduce, former member of parliament of we call right this, Southeast
Eastern St. Andrew.
St. Andrew.
Yes.
Okay.
Eastern
Yes.
St. Andrew, the university town.
The university town.
Yes, man.
Yes, man. And then we have on the panel, Wil Rattigan, my brother,
Yeah, man.
and Herb Nelson, and
And
also Jeffery
Yes,
Tavares.
sir. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you, brother Herb. You look familiar to Herb, like we have met before, but I'm not sure.
Depends on where you've been. If you've been in the Washington area,
Yeah.
and if not, then maybe somewhere in Whitehall, Red Hills Road area.
Well, two years I'm very familiar with.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
And Rattigan is a cutting edge man, mastermind.
There you go. Are you from St. George's College?
No, I'm well, I was gonna say fortunately or unfortunately, and I'm not. No.
Okay.
Not so
all
lucky
right.
at all.
Where did you go to high school at?
Well, I was a country boy and I grew up in St. Catherine Bushes, so we
Oh, okay. So you and Andrew went to school together then?
well, not quite. No, I was a school dropout and started my business at a tender age. $19 and a bike. Well, $40 on a bicycle at the age 19. One day I'll tell Lonesome the story.
But them show them like you, because from rock to riches, when you can get up. No, I respect people like that, where when we hear about dropout, we hear about in America, we hear about even where the one name drop out of college and all kind of things. One of them from Facebook go right back.
Yes.
Who start them business in a garage, who start them business, but them are the billionaire.
Absolutely.
Them are the billionaire.
Sir Hylton, how you doing?
Well, good to see you, brother Jeffrey.
I haven't seen you in a long time, man.
A very long time, but I watch you from time to time, man, and boy, you guys on the vlog here doing a serious job in helping Jamaica,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We
have to turn the country around. We can't. The country is knocking behind Haiti's back door. We can't allow it.
I reflected. I'm reading a book, you see, written by Arnold Bertram.
Yes.
Norman Manley and the Making of Modern Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And I reflected on the time the People's National Party came about. The diaspora played a very important role in bringing back self-governance to Jamaica. And Domingo, working with the group that pulled the party, was very influential in getting some of the changes that we have seen in Jamaica. And again, I think the diaspora is being called upon to really reset Jamaica. I think we need a reset. And you are playing a very important role in all of that, both all of you.
Yes, man. Very, 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 very. I could start from something though. With crime, right? When you was the MP, member of parliament in St. Andrew there, right? you come up with a plan and we see it work.
Yes.
Why the government of today never duplicate that? You can explain to us about that plan and why you come up with that plan. It was brilliant.
Well, I don't know if it was my plan per se, but what started the whole thing is when I was a caretaker in 2008, 2009, there was a war or friction between two communities in Augusttown, Hermitage and Goldsmith Villa. And they started shooting at each other at nights and so on. And an old lady died from a heart attack, just all the gunshots being fired at nights and she couldn't take her. She died from a heart attack. And I felt, as a political representative, I cannot sit by and not do anything about it. And then I approached Professor Barry Evans of blessed memory, who did a lot of work both on crime and with men and so on, and in Augusttown in particular. And I said, Doc, how do I deal with this thing? Because I'm not used to them kind of thing at all. I'm a newcomer in politics at that time and really didn't know how to handle it. And Professor Chevan says, look here, by that time, the PMI, along with the peace builders in Augusttown, had signed a peace treaty at the university. And he said, why don't organize a meeting with all the stakeholders, all the corner youths? Now we're talking about Gola, Vietnam, Hermitage, Jungle 12, Judgment Yard, Open Land, all of them, Bedward Gardens, and so on. And we had a meeting at his office at the university. And by the way, he said, look here, I remember that time I said, I'm going to invite the Jamaica Labour Party MP at the time, which was Aubin Bartlett. Them said Bartlett not coming because I'm going to meet with corner youths. But I called him and to his credit, he came to the meeting. And let me tell you something, I have never heard people spilling their guts like that. And I listened, it was a shocker for me. And then at the end of the day, Barry Evans says, look, we need to stop this gun firing and so on. And they agreed. And then after, we just started working with the community, working with the Peace Management Initiative, working with the churches, the police, the university. And there are a group of great peace builders in Augusttown, Rutherford. We had persons like Ken Wilson, who really stood up and tried to hold this thing together. And we did it over a period of time. When I got elected as Member of Parliament, I used the office of Member of Parliament to bring these people together. And what I think was important to say, Wayne, is we sold the youths a different vision. We said, look here, if you have a little place in Augusttown and you can build a little extra room in the back of your mother's house, you can rent it to students. If the place is peaceful, we'll have students flooding down in Augusttown. Augusttown could be the entertainment capital of all the university students in that community. And you're going to be earning money from the rental. The wholesales are going to be earning from the students. The shop's going to be earning from the students. They'll come to your dances where you put on your dance. Kind of ghetto people love dance. And they bought into the vision, and we worked with Jamaica National, quite a bit of stakeholders, and the university offer them homeowners loans and so on. And then the university started promoting Augusttown as a place for students. And we had hundreds, if not thousands of students living in Augusttown. But the crime thing, you see, it has to be managed. Police can't solve crime by themselves. If the people in the community don't buy into it, forget it. So
You're
it's
right.
a genuine partnership of the various stakeholders that came together and said, look here, we don't want this anymore. I'll give you two quick examples. I don't want to hog the mic, but in one of the years, I think it was 2015, I went and met with Sizzler, who has a foundation called Sizzler Youth Foundation. One of the man I took there was from Jungle 12. He said to me, comrade, at 25 years, me not come here, say, because they've just had a riff for so long. But I was able to bring them together, brought Sizzler on board, and he did a fantastic job in terms of coordinating a 1 month celebration of the emancipation. I know Augusttown was named Augusttown in August 1, 1838 in commemoration of Emancipation Day.
Okay.
The place was African Hill, and they renamed it Augusttown to mark Emancipation. So it's a very special community and has a very special place in history. So when we had that 1 month celebration, the last, every corner had a dance, and we all visited each other's dance. People felt good. They were moving from community to community. Sizzler, everybody were moving around supporting the thing. The last dance was Jungle Turtles dance, and somehow there was a wanted man in one of the community, I think it's Duppy Lane, that fired a shot the night before. And the police said, we're not having any dance there. It's not going to happen. I met with the then Assistant Commissioner Quayler and a group of the same peace builders, and we said, look, we can't do this. We made a commitment. We need to honor the commitment. He agreed. He says, look, we'll put in sufficient security and we'll have the event. While I was doing that, Jeffrey, I called leaders in the community and I said, look here, you can't ask me as member of parliament to go look dance for you and you have wanted man in the community. I say he has to be in custody. And to the community's credit, I think the councillor was very involved at the time, he was handed over to the police the following day. By 2015, the first in 14 years, Augustown had no murders for Christmas. First time in 14 years. And just after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, some fellas killed a bus driver, JUTC bus driver at the terminus in Augustown. And we went there, the church came out, everybody came out, and we said, look here, this is not what we signed on to, this is not what we arranged. So these guys need to be in custody. And in 2 weeks, they were both arrested. The two youngsters were arrested. So it shows that when community buy into a program, it can work. So we only had one murder for 2015, and 2016 we lost the election in February, lost by a slim margin of 157, I believe it was, to Flavor Williams. And of course, we had 0 murders in 2016. That did not happen overnight. It is the constant work, and I've tell you some of the stories I can't tell you because they're heartbreaking that I've been through in some of the communities. But you have to stick with it. You have to work with the young people. And the next thing I think that was very different about what we did, I've always given credit to Deputy Commissioner Fitz Bailey. He was senior superintendent at the time. And we discussed it, how we're going to solve this problem. And he was working with us, with the community, and so on. And one time we organized, Mr. Morgan, who's a prominent used car dealer, along with Ken Wilson and the rest of the peace builders, organized a meeting with the police at Halfway Tree, putting them in a coaster bus, 2 coaster buses, all the corner youths to go and meet with the police to discuss this business of make sure there's no crime and their responsibility in keeping down crime. To me, that made them feel important. It made them feel a part of the process. And sometimes I don't know if some of these criminals know how they understand how they affect people. They hear the cries, but sometimes I wonder if they do. But I tell you, we got some of those corner youths to meet with the police. That the police come pick them up and drag them in a truck to Halfway Tree. They were taken there and had a meeting, and give Fitz Bailey his credit. He was willing to do that. And we brought crime down to 1 in 2015, 0, and coming from a high of 40. Now, in all fairness, I said to Dr. Chang once in passing, Dr. Chang, let us look at the Augustown model, because I believe there's something to be said about how it was done. And there's a lot more. I'll just give you a nutshell of it, but how it was done, and it can be replicated throughout communities. If we do not have soft intervention, it can't be just hard intervention. You can't just buy bulletproof vests and more car and more gun and more helicopter. All of that is fine. And there's a place for hard policing. But until we start meeting with people and getting them to buy into a new vision of Jamaica, a new vision of their community, and work with the youths to prevent problems. You know what's caused lots of these things? A man box a man. What the thing we had in Hermitage is a man box a man. Man go finger and kill a man.
And then you have reprisal. Reprisal, yes. Remember, born in a real ghetto, so we know how the whole of this should go. And the next thing, so the PSI, the PMI, them was on board.
You can call the PMI and say, look here, because as a member of parliament, you hear on the ground that there's a rift between this youth, them youth, and that set of youth there. And you call them in and say, look here, intervene, have a discussion with them. Sometimes I remember calling Sizzler one day and say, Sizzler, look here, call in them youth, have a talk with them.
Yes.
No, a man listen to us Sizzler as an elder in the community that and they respect, and them quell it. The time that caused back the uproar after 2016, and again, I don't blame Favour for it because I don't think she understood how we got there. But it's a youth, stab a youth from one community. Him have some family are foreign, and before you know it, youth from the community shoot one youth from the other community, and before you know it just went, it just blew up.
But Mr. Hylton, but you more understand this more than Sir Googs and the whole of them. When I said them a try quell violence around the country, because I tell them before, you know, there is no way you're going to use hardcore policing and solve no crime around here. Because when do it cause more pain in the community. When the police come to you, all right, me not in a crime. But you come in and me here because I get to me live in a zinc fence. You kick off my door, you box me up, you drape me up as a big man, you do me all kind of thing. You can't hear nothing from me as a police. That will never. I'm not gonna have you up.
Yep.
Because
I will tell you more.
Have police cross the chest. These are things where you say it will not work. Yes. So when them get up and say them spend 176 billion, how much money you spend to get down this crime when you was a member of parliament here?
Very
how much
little,
money you spend?
Very little, because I would have spent it out of CDF with different intervention programs.
So you never spend how much billions?
No, and I will tell you this. At that time, the PMI had very little resources because Augustown was not a priority at the time, but they still worked, and we were able to get the crime down. It can be done. It can be done.
And the PMI now it get disbanded now. Them defunct.
They don't fund it. They don't fund it at all.
They don't fund it. Them not operating again.
I think it still exists. I'm not too sure, but I know Mr. Levy has been very active. Milton.
Them talking about the funding though.
That they don't. They got this government don't see. This government prefer ban ships, helicopter, bulletproof.
I saw that.
Guns. And yes, we're not saying the police don't need that.
No, but in a society where we're not creating the jobs, we're not fix up the infrastructure. And don't feel you have government to come in and say, the youth them not want to work, but yes, still, when them are bushing work for 2 weeks, them spend nearly $1 billion and everybody come out to contract bush. Yeah. When you want to go to clean the same youth, them when you think of fire gun, jump in and they go clean it. That means them want to work. Yeah. If you're going to look nasty, go to go clean it,
yes.
For the $3,000 for the 2 day, you will work if you get work. Sure. Ratty, turn you over to Ratty.
Yes. So Hylton, I almost call you Minister Hylton. Maybe it's a position you'll soon reassume, you know. But well, let me ask you this. And again, good evening, sir. Let me ask you this. While we're on the issue of crime and policing, this government, they've taken a turn from previous governments in the sense that they're now saying they're concentrating on transforming the JCF. And they put out a whole bunch of papers, and they have something called Plan Secure Jamaica, which filters down from the National Security Plan, which I believe was enacted under your government. Mm-hmm. And so they don't have a crime plan. And they have this Plan Secure Jamaica that they've been touting since 2016, 2017. I think it came into effect. They were touting it in 2016, and I believe it came into effect 2017. Mm. And as I said before, they've decided to throw money at the problem instead of thinking about it strategically and using some of the solutions that you mentioned. They've gone into pretty much like hard policing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're going to buy this, we're going to buy that, and they're going to buy. No, when you stop and you look at the fact that the Minister Chang said in, I think it was February 2021, that he's been spending and he will spend $1.2 billion US from fiscal year 2016, 2017 to 2022, 2023 to transform the police, provide resources, and so on and so forth. Now, here's where we are. Here's a question. He's spending all of this money on the Plan Secure Jamaica, on the transforming the JCF. But then on the other hand, we have the Police Federation saying, we don't have guns, we don't have vests, we don't have vehicles, we don't have this, we don't have that. Simple question, who do you believe?
I believe the police, and not just because they say so, but I'm intimately involved in the ground throughout the country, and I do hear the cries of the police officers. I see the issues, and it has been for some time, but it's really in I think a chronic state now. And I agree with you. Buying guns, all of these things is wonderful, and helicopters and so on. But let me tell you, there has to be but when I talk about August Town, yes, it's an intervention that works. But we have to have a far more extensive and holistic approach to crime. We have to start by re-engineering the minds of our children from basic schools. One thing when I get on mother, our father, then pick me go to basic school. After then go primary school, then more drop out at that stage. I don't know if it's because of the cost, but them just have a real passion for taking their kids to basic school. So I think we have a real opportunity to design interventions at that level. Look here, my charity I started in 1991 called Guiding Light, predominantly adopted basic schools. And the reason why I focused on basic schools is because it is a formative years. If you can influence a child at that age, you're going to have a different human being. And let me explain something to you. If we can get social workers, we can partner with the church, we can get experts, whether they're persons who can analyze children, you can find those children that need intervention at basic school. If you talk to a basic school teacher, she'll tell you that little boy, come to school, him hair no comb, him uniform no press, him clothes dirty, he's very disruptive, you know he has a home problem. The basic school teachers can tell you. You design a program to work with the community, with the mother, the grandmother, and you intervene with that child. If you can get children reading by 5, I started a program. If you read by 5, you'll read for life. If they can't read, then sometimes kids are slow. Sometimes there's a problem. Try and find it there. So I believe we need to seriously look at early childhood education with a view to creating the new society that we're looking for. So it is a form of indoctrination into becoming the kind of adults and human beings that Jamaicans we want them to be. I think we have a role to play as a state to intervene at that level. And then, of course, it should continue at primary. And then, of course, adolescence, another one. Use the army, get an intervention with a system, with the courts. If a mother has a boy who's turning a bad boy, she should have what they call reform school. I change the name now. They should have a reform school that they could hand over to the army through the courts to say, look, my child is giving problems. Use sports, use entertainment, send them to camps, try and let them understand what it is to be a man. Because most of the boy will be problem, Them say I grew up with 13, 14, them say I backchat them mother, smoke weed, start hang out with the don. They need to be taught about what it is to be a man. How do you become a man? You don't want it done down the road to train your 13-year-old boy to be a man. So we have to be conscious of these different levels of intervention. And government has a huge role to play in all of this.
But Minister Hylton, let me just ask you a quick follow-up.
Sure.
In the few minutes that you just spoke, you laid out an entire program. The government has experts. They have the funding. They have the contacts. Why is it that you, and maybe it's a question you really can't answer because, I'm, in a sense, it's unfair to you because I'm asking you to answer for the government, not for yourself. But why is it that you can come up with?
Ratty, what a nice thing, Ratty. Come back. You haven't finished the question. Him soon come up back. With some problem. Him soon come in back.
Internet is always a problem.
But in the meantime, I could just Jeffrey.
Yes. Sir Hylton.
Yes, man.
A man who is a no-nonsense person. Take off your political hat You're not running for any office now. You're a Jamaican citizen.
Yeah.
You're not in parliament. If you were advising the Prime Minister and CARICOM pertaining to Haiti, would you advise them to go into Haiti at this moment to assist when our crime situation in this country is out of whack?
I believe it's it's an ill-advised move. I think they're back down on it though. But we have what we have enough problem. Fix a yard before you go fix abroad. I learned to dance a yard before you go dance abroad. We need to fix our problems here. Haiti, though, by extension, Haiti is one of our closest neighbors and a country that we owe a debt of gratitude to. And I believe that we have a role to play. I don't necessarily agree with sending troops there, but I believe that a PJ Pattison, a Bruce Golding, some of these elders could be used, funded through the Jamaican government, to go and meet with all the various factions in Haiti and see if there is any way we can get the real authentic groups in Haiti to come together around Haiti. I know there's huge money being spent with gangs and funding them and so on, but I really genuinely believe that is one of the ways that we can with CARICOM, of course. Mm-hmm. We have other elders in the Caribbean who are well respected and have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, could help. And I genuinely believe that it needs to. And the other thing that we need to do with Haiti is political pressure in Washington, because I also believe that Washington is a part of the problem and the big money players in Washington, So we may need to do some lobbying on behalf of Haiti, and there's a large Asian population there. But I don't agree. In a simple answer, I don't agree with what the Prime Minister has said he was going to do. I think it's utter rubbish. To me, it was a distraction from the SSL thing.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
Not yours alone, but the panel and a lot of us in the diaspora, because we're not stupid. Yes.
Yes. May I do one more before?
Yes.
So Hylton, let us come back home to Jamaica now. Mm-hmm. There's a $40 million road and $40 billion road improvement in this country that they plan to do. I remember when I was a little boy growing up in Negril, my grandfather, the late Wil Tavares, used to work with Public Works Department. Mm-hmm. And I remember when they used to have the stone. They put the stone on the road, and they roll it. They put some mall and they roll it. Put the stone again and they roll it. Mall and they roll it. Stone again and they roll it. Then they put on the barber green. Nowadays, it's just simple barber green and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they still use mall, but it's not sufficient. We do have a problem with the quality, I believe, of, and I think part of it is cost. I'm not saying it's all the fault of the government, but there is an issue of quality. I've seen so many roads being repaired, and in no time they're dug up. And I believe that we have better methods of repairing roads and rehabilitating roads than we're doing now. And I don't think we're focusing on that at all. And I believe Michael Phillips is the opposition spokesperson on works. And this is something that I think he has echoed and I think we'll be looking at in the next PMP administration.
I'm going to ask another question, but I'll yield back to the panel.
Yes. Herb?
Yes, good evening again, Mr. Hylton, and good evening to our listeners. Mr. Hylton, I heard intensely what you were saying about Augustown. If we have a best practice, a series of best practices that were used there, and if we have the blueprint to settle all our communities, and if the PMI, which is define PMI for me again.
Peace Management Initiative.
Peace Management Initiative. Okay. If all of these things worked, why are we messing around, wondering, or trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak? Why are we coming up short? Because the Augustown had peace for what, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Well, they're about 2 years. About 2 years.
2 years.
Without it, yeah.
Right, but you have not really broken out into a full gang warfare across the Augustown area, have you?
It has since then, because as I said before, it's not a, let me tell you, part of it's a process. It's you don't just get criminals or get people out of the habit of crime overnight. You have to get them out of the habit of crime. So it takes quite a bit of management over the period to reduce the crime, have it under control, getting the youths engaged in other activities so their minds will not be on crime. You give them other alternatives, whether it's through training, whether it's through empowering them in businesses, many things, education. There's a whole lot of things that young people want to do. And some of those youths are very talented, you know. Another thing about the crime, too, you see, Herb, is not, you see some youth on a corner, you know, it's maybe one or two of them, maybe one or two really in crime, you know, them just have to be associated with each other and have a turf kind of thing, which you know, has a negative to it. But if you get them out of the habit of crime, then you can intervene with other things. And PMI has programs like these through CSJP. You can get them a skills training. You can, some people want to start a little business. You can assist them with different, hold their hands and get them into other things. So you get them out of crime and get them into, they get a new habit. Takes time to break habits. But most importantly, you must cut off the supply of criminals. And we breed criminals, the way we treat our children. If you understand some of the abuses of our children, you'll understand why a young man gets so cold. How did he become? I don't think I could just take a gun and shoot a man in his head. I don't think I have the guts for that. Where do you get the stomach from? Where did this person come from? And we have to cut off that supply. And it's going to start with the way we treat our children from 0 to 6. So it has to include the community, the parents, the church, everybody. So once we get them out of the habit and you cut off the supply, then in another 10, 15 years, Jamaica can be a very peaceful place.
Now in 2016, the Crime Task Force from the U.S. with Dr. Francis, we all came down as a team, visited Jamaica, and we presented the crime intervention methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that included sports. Now, Jamaica, as you know, made the World Cup 1998.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamaica gets a lot of money from FIFA to promote the sport amongst the underserved communities and women.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the FIFA Foundation will even build stadiums. They'll give you like 4 large soccer fields, called a soccerplex. They give whatever you can justify. They do it. I see in St. Mary, the former National Security Minister has built a stadium there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's encouraging youth activities within the community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have things like the CDC, which I'm sure you're aware of, and it's a community development committee or corporation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Certainly.
And it includes the churches, it includes businesses,
Mm-hmm.
it includes all the stakeholders within the community.
Mm-hmm.
If you have them supporting an expansion of activities, and you have the JFF with a nationally run program for underserved communities and women, wouldn't that give the youth an occupation. You could even go to the FIBA, which is the World Basketball Association, people, to begin a basketball program with coaches and various equipment.
Yeah.
We talk about a whole basketball court, nets, balls, the whole works. If you have this kind of support, and you have adults that can be trained to support those youth and to do counseling. And I'm not talking foolishly here. We do it in Portmore with Charlton Football Academy, where we have 250 kids. And the only time they probably eat a really good for the day is when they come out in the morning and the soccer moms prepare meals for them, right? And then we train them and then we return them home. So all you need is adult involvement, from what I'm hearing you saying, and you need support. Is there CDC support within your community for these type of activities? As far as do you have a CDC?
Yeah, well, the former constituency I was involved with is Eastern St. Andrew, and yes, as member of parliament, we did have their support, and they've done some good work. I think, very underfunded, but yes, I agree with you, Herb, that if we had programs like those, that's why I said to you, the early childhood intervention continuing through primary school. And then when we get to adolescence, then we have a different kind of intervention. But we need to be more strategic as a country, everything. What is our competitive advantage? How does that tie into our education system? Are we training people with the right skills that we need to be competitive in the world? We have agriculture now, which is a huge item on the agenda. Are we training our young people? I went to the school I'm from in St. Catherine with my sister on Thursday, and I said to the teacher that when I was a child, we had 4-H active in the school, and I showed her all the coconut tree that I helped to plant as a boy. I can remember that. Why is it that we're not teaching the new method of agriculture, introducing care and farming in a very nice, fun way for kids? And of course, some of the new technologies and so on at the more advanced levels. We need to be far more strategic. Sports is a very important thing for especially our young men. Sports and entertainment. That's why I said, if we had the army working with the church, the army, the specialists, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the counselors, we could get our children, especially our adolescents, male who are giving problems, to release their stress and be trained in some of these areas. Of course, doing some assessment to find out what's their problem and so on. Because some of them have issues. Remember, mental health issues is a big problem in Jamaica. Professor Hylton, I think, said was like 45%. I don't quote me on it. But there's a huge number of Jamaicans who are suffering from mental health issues. And we don't talk about it. We don't even understand it. And I believe there's ways of spend money in assessing those things and remedying, create interventions at that level. But sports, whatever we do, sports is going to be one of the critical things. So we love it. It's a part of our DNA. And entertainment, of course. Our young people love that. Let agriculture be sexy again. Let it be fun. Let it be a money-making thing. People can become billionaires out of agriculture. We need to share that vision with the next generation. So there's we need a holistic approach, which ties into our education system, ties into our security system, ties into our exports and development as an economy, to know where we're going and get our people in line with it. I don't think we're having this discussion. And I must tell you, I'm disappointed in Andrew, because Andrew Oles, who I know fairly well, as a person who was born after independence, you said, well, a young person, let us see what's going to do different. And I'm really, really disappointed that we didn't see these kind of coming together and really working with the people to create a new vision for Jamaica.
Is it a budgetary problem or what? I mean,
I think it's a political will. I think we just don't have the will to do certain things. I think money is secondary. Where there's a will, there is a way. Michael Manley did a lot of things in the 70s that was huge concern where budget was concerned, but he did it. And if we have the will and it is what the people want and to make the people better, they will bind to it and they will work with the program.
Okay.
Okay. You just talk about the kids, right? All right. So we could just put something to that, add something to that. Jamaica full a lot of broken homes. One parenting system. And you're right, you have to catch the kid them from early, like we said, from early to 8, 6 and things like that, because the one parenting thing, it really hard on them, family morals and thing that break down, mother sometimes have to leave the kid. The kid get brutalized enough at the time, Sometimes the mother take up a next man and that kid get molested and trouble. So most of the time, whether boy or girls, most of the time the mental capacity, not stable.
Yeah.
You understand? And then don't have nobody to talk to because they find out, say, well, you have a one parent, like you don't see a father.
Mm-hmm.
And if a man come in your mother life now, him do all kind of things, box you down, beat you, and then you can't talk because your mother now pick up for you, She'll say, I am a pay the rent, I am a pay that, so you have to keep your mouth shut. And if our daughter are the same thing, even if the man molest her, that's why you see what going in Westmoreland the other day, the little 9-year-old girl.
Sad.
You must have somebody near to her.
Very sad.
And you say, I the man where mother did not talk to me. I said, well, I'm not sure. And then the mouth must be. But I must someone near to her. It wouldn't be somebody from town when I know the mother, when I know where she live. Them never met them before. So it would be somebody from town or next parish when I know nothing about this little girl. Girl now this you can just see her and attack her like that. Must someone close to her. That's why I tell the police all the time when you investigate case, they invest it inside out.
Yep.
Something happen here, you start from the inside, investigate from inside, right close to them, go out. That means you have to clear everyone around them. Them have to get smart. Start the real policing. And we have to treat the kids them better. We can't wait till when they reach 13, 14, the boy pick them and send them off.
Too late.
And then them are young, we call them, me I come Jeffrey, we call them child soldier because we see it in Africa. But we see era leaders and what them call them warlords. Have them turn and kill all them one parents. For Christ's sake. And we know that. You understand? So when we match up something, we say, listen, we are taking the wrong approach. These are wrong approaches. You can't go in a ghetto because you're born and go in a ghetto and some zinc fence and live in a little one room and thing. You treat everybody like subhuman. Them already under pressure, these little kids. We have to try to rescue them.
True.
Instead of trying to lock them up. Zozo and state of emergency when that will not work in a Jamaica. You understand? For please who? The big boys them? Them do more corruption more than anything else in a Jamaica. You understand? It's not the poor people them import the $6 billion worth of junk every year. We put $300 and I devalue it. Because if you don't have the US, you remember say you have to use the Jamaican to buy US and we don't have it, you know what already, and then we'll get exported like $1 billion. So you run down the country, PSOJ, and the whole of them here talk, but you understand where I'm coming from. And the big boys. And I get the people them that have the money. We if start to invest more in the kids more than one, kill off the future generation. Out of that, all right, all them recruit more police and teachers and nurses from the same ghetto. You think of the big boy picking them at turn police and teacher and nurse and them thing there? No. You understand? It come from the same ghetto. The same ghetto, the same set of pool of people when them are killed. It needs to stop. Yes, Jeffrey.
So Hylton.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
If the People's National Party should gain state power. By the way, are you gonna run in the next election, sir?
I have had discussions with the party, and I presently serve on the executive of the party, and I do what I can, you know. But I'm thinking about it.
You should be. Yeah,
I'm
because
thinking about
Why
it.
I
And
went
I'm
down that road,
discussing.
you know?
Pardon me?
Why I went down that road, you see?
Yes.
There's a young lady by the name of Senator Gabriela Morris.
Yes.
I think that's the next Portia Simpson Miller
Yes. Good
of
girl.
Jamaica and of the
Good.
People's National Party.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this to you. And you can and I know party leader may be watching and everything, and other people may be watching.
yes.
Yes.
If the People's National Party want to gain the youths in this country,
Yeah.
Senator Morris is the best person to go around the island with the party leader to gain the traction of the young people of this country who is saying, "Me not vote because I'm not sure what to vote for."
Yes. Yes.
If you listen to that young lady speak, which I know you listen to her, the charisma, the passion that she has for this country. And I'm saying to you tonight, sir, in order for this party, the oldest party in the Western Hemisphere and in the Caribbean, to move forward for young people, one, they have to use social media. Two, one, they have to get Miss Morrison along with them. Don't leave her along there because she's a senator. Bring her up front.
Yeah.
Bring she up front for she to get the young people of this country to use social media a lot.
Yes.
Because there is no way, absolutely no way, if the People's National Party don't move forward for this country,
Yes.
then God help us.
True. Absolutely.
Jamaica is going down a slippery slope. And as I said before, let me make something clear.
Yeah.
My gay back smash up. I am only a Jamaican. I'm talking for this country.
That is it.
I don't come here. I came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane or party pain. And Jamaica is in need of help.
Yes.
That's right.
Jamaica is going on a slippery slope. And if they do not get this young lady into the midst of it,
yes,
to help this country, to save this country, to save the young people, because all they think about is going away.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And Jeffrey, to give the PMP credit, Dr. Phillips appointed her as senator. She is the youngest
in the history of Jamaica.
In Jamaica. She is also now the chairman and candidate aspirant for Central St. James, the former constituency I ran in. And I used whatever influence I had to get her there. So she is a great young lady. I think she has a bright future ahead of hers. And I do believe that she's very involved. She's the president of the PMPYO. So the PMP has heard you and I think has made well, certainly she was appointed under Peter Phillips, and Mark Golding has appointed her as certainly as the YO chairman, and now she's has applied for Central St. James. So she's very involved. So I agree with you, and whatever I can do to assist her, I certainly will. The PMP has always been a party that looks out for the young. And I think we need to remind or to show the Jamaican people that we are still the party who genuinely has an interest in the development of our young people. And of course, an interest in our women as well. We have always been big on women and the young. We have some great young people too. Still young. Damian Crawford is still young. Well, in politics, them call all me young sometimes.
Well, I mean, you know, you look young, you know, you can run a marathon, you know.
You have Andre Hylton, you know.
Yes, I need to talk to him too. We're going to carry him, yes.
You have some young people there that still carries a flag, and the new crop of candidates, there's quite a few young people in there. So I fully agree with you, and certainly I will pass on your sentiments to the party, Jeffrey. I will definitely.
Please do.
Yes,
because I did a series on her, Wayne Lonesome, myself, and the chairman of the Jamaican What is Dr. Francis role again? Sorry.
Dr. Francis, yes.
He's the head of the Jamaica Diaspora Crime
Fix
Intervention
the
and
mic,
Prevention
Patty.
Task Force.
Okay.
We did a series on Senator Morris.
Yes.
And you can go on my YouTube channel and look at it. Because when I hear that young lady speak, and you know, people may say look like Jeffrey like her.
Yes.
So be it.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter, when I listen to that young lady speak, I had her on my program one time too. And I listened to her speak, man. I check back and I sit down and listen. And I said to myself, no man. This is a Portia Simpson Miller, the younger version of Portia Simpson Miller.
Yes.
You know, and we need to push the young people more, because if there's a thing on Twitter that named Space. If you listen to some Jamaicans, some young Jamaicans speak, honestly, Sir Hylton, my heart move.
Yes.
My heart move.
Yes.
We need a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Not an arrogant government. A government who listen to the young people in this country. A government who continue to push for young people in this country. Jamaica is going on a slippery slope, and it's the only help we have.
True.
You all must stand up. Let Michael Manley be proud of the party that he found.
Yes.
The people of Jamaica need help.
Yes.
The young people of our country is going down somewhere that we don't want them to go.
Absolutely. And on the other side of the coin, there are some wonderful, educated, positive, promising young people. You see, social media is a unique thing, and I'm trying to study on it, trying to understand how it works, how people, are influenced nowadays. But there's a lot of bright young people out there. What we need to do, Jeffrey, is to get them in the political process, because they have been so turned off.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. I talk to young people every day because I surround myself with young people. If you want to learn what's happening now, talk to young people. Yes? You can't even tell them about what I'm used to happening yesterday, because I'm tired to hear about history. They don't have the interest in the history as they ought to, because I think in Jamaica we start our history with slavery, and to me it's a turn-off. When you tell a child that you start with slavery, rather than telling about the greatness of our African ancestors and that we are the cradle of civilization, tell them of the greatness that we have accomplished. And then you can talk about the phase of the Middle Passage and so on. So we have to find a way to get through to the young people to understand the importance of politics. Politics has been painted as this corrupt thing, but politics is too important to be left only to politicians. I really hope and pray, and I hope that you will do in your own way on your programs, to encourage every well-thinking Jamaican. Put on your white shirt. Yes, if you don't want, I'm not saying I must put on orange shirt.
No brand around here.
Or green shirt. But put on a white shirt or a blue shirt. Well, they might say, are you IC if you put on a blue shirt? But,
So we not just white shirt. No brand.
But put on a white shirt and get up and go vote and go about your business. If we can get the well-thinking, look here, there are more well-thinking Jamaicans than the not so well-thinking,
Of course.
If we can get well-thinking Jamaicans to vote on issues, look at the board political manifestos, see which one that speaks to your future and the development of this country that we love so much, and go out and vote. And if you're voting a man and him not working, vote him out.
But
hold on, political party and they're not doing what they want, vote them out.
Well, Mr. Hylton, you see, the manifesto where them are print nowadays, we started something more deeper than that now. We start look on each individual candidate CV.
Yes.
Or them resume. So when we look on Andre Hylton now, me say, you start and now you build a business from down yourself, from scratch, go up as a great businessman. And then we see how when you turn an MP, how you run a constituency. We see how you put the youth them together and everything come, we can say, okay, we can take you off. Then we are check, if he's a pata cat. And then we hear your hand in a nothing, where you move, nothing, me say, okay, me will take you off. You understand? Then me look for a Mark Golding and me say, oh, he was a liar. And then me look for all them people, them background, and me say, oh, them people, them serve that and that and that and. You understand? So we can't take him off. Then me look for Andrew Onis and me say, oh, him raised in a one bedroom, but him confuse me. Oh, Me raised in a 2-bedroom with my mother and my father. Right away you tell me lie. It raised red flag.
Yes.
It raised a red flag. And then you come and you put on clocks. Me no want a leader do that and trick no young people about here. You become positive. Don't depend on car top. Because remember police, it see me on my car in a car drive and push out my foot through the sunroof and I show clocks. Them are give me a ticket. Him should get a ticket feed. Because me see in a UK, the Prime Minister in a back of car talk how much money I got spend. And him put up the video. Film people then put up the video. Them charge him. He never have on a seat belt.
Yes.
So who is Jamaican Prime Minister for bigger than the law?
Yes.
You can lead by example, brothers.
And not only that,
you come back?
Yeah, man.
Oh!
What about Carl Samuda, who was driving and talking on the phone, and you hear nothing about it?
Nothing. And you hear, that's why I said, Sir Googs. Remember, you know, this week coming, Sir Googs, me tell you, me a lawsuit you, you know. You think I joke? Just watch me. Remember, my name, I'm the man in the wilderness. I do not make joke. Nobody watch me smile. Very serious. Take it serious, me I tell you. You me warn you. You can't say me never did that one like no over them Bible. You warn you. All right. Because it's a danger to the society of Jamaica. No longer will keep you there. We people them in a danger.
You know, before you, Mr. Rattigan, come on. You know, I always say this, Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
And a lot of people vex with me, and in my own family. I said, and I'm going to say it publicly. The criminals, along with the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police, are a clear and present danger to the national security of the citizens of Jamaica.
Of course.
How on earth can you have a Commissioner of Police who his rating is down along with the Minister of National Insecurity and Injustice? And they are still there.
Yes.
And then who moved them? The same Prime Minister when he was in opposition, the foot upon the other shoot him and say, listen, him look upon Azan. And I say, it's a dark night for Jamaica because the Prime Minister now move him on corruption. And at the same time when I talk about Azan in 2014, remember, you know, him film friend of the contract, not in a film constituency, not carrying what you know, but in somewhere in St. James. Your business partner, and I get more and more contract from where? From the ministry where you are run. You below so quick. And nobody must question you. Come in here, Ratty, because when me a blaze of fire, me spit, you know.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, Mr. Hylton, look, I want to apologize to Salons. I want to apologize to the audience. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like the third course. Yeah, because Jeffrey, behave yourself. No, because it's saying that I have no memory. And then when a friend of mine went in a while ago and checked, I only use 11% of my memory and all kinds of things going on. But be that as it may, Mr. Hylton, I was gonna ask you a follow-up question. I didn't get a chance because of the system, but I'll skip that. I have additional questions to ask. One is, and by the way, we had on a JLP official yesterday when we spoke about the fact that whether or not somebody from outside his constituency could come in with a contract to do debushing of gullies, and he expressed surprise that something like that could ever happen. But I didn't tell him that it actually happened. You know, it actually happened, but I'm sure his advisors, they'll go back and they'll talk to him and he'll figure that out. But here's the thing. Chronix, one of my favorite reggae artists, he did a song, and one of the in one of the songs, I don't remember the name of the song, but one of the lines in that song was that the two party are flex like a party them inner. And that resonates with me because it resonates with a lot of people who say, you know, the two parties, it's and you've heard the phrase before, no better hearing, no better bars. It's the same thing. Now, here's why I bring that up to you, because you just mentioned that somebody should put on a white shirt and look at the political manifestos of both parties, see which one appeals to them, and then go out and vote. Right? The reason why I that kind of awakened my senses is that in 2016, the current Prime Minister of Jamaica said that within the first 100 days, he would do a number of things, including submit resolution, submit
Impeachment.
no, yeah, but submit a resolution for term limits for the prime minister, right? Then this was 2016. Last year he came to Washington D.C. to meet with local, well, not local, but to meet with U.S. government officials. And in his town hall meeting, this same Jeffery Tavares you see on the program here asked him a question about that particular manifesto position. And here's the answer he gave, Jeffrey. He said in 2016, that was part of our political manifesto. But in 2020, it was not part of the political manifesto. So you see why I'm concerned when I hear the term manifesto, because you can always say whatever. I mean, politicians, by and large, they say what they feel will appeal to people, especially during an election cycle. You'll never hear them say, "Oh, you know, if you vote for me, then I tell you what, you're not gonna get any jobs." Or, you know, they won't say anything negative. It's all positive. So that's the first thing I worry about when I hear about political manifesto, because you can write anything, you can say anything, and then once you get into power, you do anything and you say anything. Going back to what the prime minister said and what he's now saying and what he's doing. And the question I have for the prime minister, if he's listening, and I'm sure his advisors, or some of them they're listening, is this: that those promises you made in 2016, or particularly that promise that you made in 2016 regarding term limits, and you say it's not on you're going to do it in the first 100 days. You hear excuses that, oh, COVID came about. You say, okay, all right, fine. You couldn't do it in the first 100 days. But how about the first year? How about the second year?
That's
how
right.
about the third year? How about the fourth year? And then now it's not in the manifesto. So I'm like, I don't have to do it. Party, I don't have to do it.
But Ratty, you know, so 2016, COVID never came about till 4 years after.
2019.
So three
years.
3 months.
Yeah. You know,
3 months and like a week.
Here's the second point I want to make. We had on a government official yesterday on our program, and he gave me the statistic. He said 80% of tertiary educated people for the past 30 years, they've fled Jamaica. So I said to him, and then he was lamenting the fact that there are opportunities in Jamaica, but people don't want to work. So I said to him, so, I mean, what do you really expect? Because what you're saying is that all the bright people gone and up here done spot left. So what does that portend for Jamaica? And not only that, you have university graduates right now who can't find jobs because you're graduating and you have jobs. In fact, university graduates working as telephone operators in call centers.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So given that landscape, given that scenario, the fact that if we assume that what he's saying, if we take him at his word and say, look, what this guy said is true, 80% of the top level graduates or 80% of the graduates, they've left the shores of Jamaica. So we're left with dun spots. And we're left with dun spots who according to this official, don't want to work. What is your plan then to get the dun spots then? So, and by no means should people think that I think people in Jamaica are dun spots. I don't believe that. I believe they're brilliant people there. It's just what this politician said yesterday. He said, and I repeat, 80% of the people who graduated from university in Jamaica, they've fled the shore over the past 30 years. They've fled the shores of Jamaica. Only 20% over the last 30 years remain. So the question from me to you now is this: if we accept that as truth, that we don't have a lot of bright people in Jamaica, and we have people in Jamaica who don't want to work, even though there are opportunities there, what do you see as the future for Jamaica?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with the statement that it's only dun spots leaving Jamaica. I don't believe that. Yes, we have a brain drain problem because persons are looking for better opportunities. We have, especially with nurses, professionals, yes, and of course, teachers now huge demand for teachers. But let me address two things first. The matter of manifesto, you see, Brother Rattigan, we have a message that is out there that is saying PNP and JLP is the same. It is not true. It is not true. I sat in Parliament when the Honorable Portia Simpson Miller was Prime Minister. I remembered the things on the manifesto. And I remembered when we met at the executive level, we spoke about it actively that this is what we have to deliver. That is what we have to deliver. We had things like no GCT on electricity bill. We took that off. We had things like reducing electricity costs. We did that. Many things that we did. As a matter of fact, most of the things in the manifesto we did. And this is with our government at the time that I would say our hands and feet were tied by the IMF because we were in a very stringent financial situation. And we had to meet all these requirements by the IMF. Dr. Phillips and Portia worked very hard. The diaspora played their role as well. And we have to give credit to the diaspora to help us to even get an IMF agreement in 2013, which led to the stabilization and the recovery of the economy and the recovery of our respectability abroad. So I'm saying to Jamaicans, do not believe this lie that the People's National Party and the JLP is the same. It is not true. Go and check, go and fact check it. Check it. We are a party. Look here. After the plantation, I tell people this all the time, after slavery, we as black people were kicked off the plantation without land. So we were all squatters. We had no education. We were by and large illiterate. And we had very low self-esteem because of the treatment on the plantation. If you look from 1944, when black people could vote, we had adult suffrage, PMP only won in 1957 for the first time. If you look at what the People's National Party have done to address those three ills that affected the masses of this country, then you will see which party has done the most and continues to do the most. No, I'm not saying that we have to live off the past because we are now talking about the future. Look at the last manifesto. Damian Crawford, when Dr. Phillips was running, was very involved with doing that manifesto. We had things like rent to buy, where we say we are going to build low-income homes, rent them to people. Part of that rental money goes into a fund that creates a deposit. Then once it reaches a certain amount, we convert it to a mortgage, and you own your own home. We had an allowance for electric light, water to stop this thieving of electricity. We had an amount. We had paternity leave that we proposed, plus many other things that were absolutely in keeping with what the Jamaican people wanted. We weren't voted in because of what happened in 2020. But I'm saying check the facts. Check the manifesto, see who has done the most, look at the philosophy of the both political parties. I tell people, look at what's in the belly of the both political parties, understand the culture of the both political parties, and know who is likely to do what.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me just say this, let me just be absolutely clear that I agree with you. I don't believe that we have done spots in Jamaica, but I was just making a point that we had a person on yesterday who said 80% of the graduates, they've left. And so the question, if that's true, then you have to ask yourself the question, then how do you address the people who are there right now? Because my understanding is that I think it's like 150,000. Damian Crawford gave the numbers of people, a set of students who took the exams. And I think it was only like a third passed so that they could move on to higher education. And he was saying the 100,000 or so that remain, they are potential gang members. And it's like, so what is the government doing to involve these people into the development of the society? And we haven't gotten an answer yet.
Again, we haven't spoken about that, but Damon has done an excellent job. I listened to him in Senate recently, and he has done a masterful job in analyzing the situation in education and offer some solutions. We must take education seriously. I believe that what we have been doing really has not worked as effectively as we should. I think we need to retune the education system to suit the Jamaican populace. We adopt these foreign things and so on. But I think that more can be done about education. That's number one. Number two, as I said earlier, we must educate with purpose. You can't just, maths and English is good and there are certain fundamentals, but we must know where we're going as a country. Just like Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore, you need X amount of engineers. We must educate with a purpose of the development of our country. The next thing, look here, Jamaica has one of the greatest, we are a huge brand in the world. The Jamaican brand is huge. Have we really discussed this with our people? We have some of who they call dunce people in school. They are very creative. Sometimes academically they don't do well, but they are very, very creative. Some of the big businessmen didn't do well in school. You can plenty Jamaicans, international billionaires, never did well in school with the academics, but they are very talented. Why don't we start teaching our people about the opportunities that are online? You see, scamming? Scamming is an illegal activity and must not be tolerated. But let me tell you something, it takes a very creative person, a hard worker to do what they do, you know. It's not an easy thing. Can we convert that talent into something
good? Yes.
We need to look at the brand Jamaica. We have the internet with over maybe 4 or 5 billion people. So we don't need to spend $4 million for a 30-second ad on CNN anymore. We can use brand Jamaica and produce things and sell to the world. Everybody wants a little piece of Jamaica. We are not thinking, yes, it is done in parts, and JBDC is doing a little thing there, and Jampro is doing a thing, but it has to be done in a far more macro way. Just like Lee Kuan Yew developed Singapore, we need to sit down and look at our strengths, do a SWOT analysis, and decide where we're focusing on for the next 10, 15 years. That's why the Vale Royal talk is so important between both political parties, because we don't need to quarrel about certain things, and we can focus on the kinds of exports, kind of development, and unleash the natural entrepreneurial opportunity, ability of our Jamaican people. Jamaicans are some creative people. We have an entrepreneurial spirit and ability that I don't think we have harnessed. And I think those are some areas that we need to look at to develop and let the country grow. We just need to think out of the box and start being revolutionary in the things that we do, both in terms of education, the intervention with our homes and the children, how we develop our economy, how we develop agriculture. Look here, man, we need to be holistic, and we need persons with vision who understands it to help to develop it so that we can solve the problems of Jamaica. If we have the economy fix the home situation, in 15, 20 years, Jamaica can be as peaceful as Switzerland and as prosperous as China.
Okay, so I'm carrying Jeffrey, but before I carrying Jeffrey, right? Them said 80% is Sarati?
Yeah.
80%.
Yeah.
That person does a talk, you know, for us please government. Me have nothing ask. That person does a talk for us please government. Them one-sided, like them get program. For the talk abaga bull. And that's true. You know them just talk abaga bull. All right. With the 80% we have with the 80% we them talk about. Can you imagine if 80% of people over 30 years that leave Jamaica? How much people that live in Jamaica, by the way? 30 years.
What about people? 80% of
people that are gone. How much people them train up a UA every year?
I'm not sure, probably about 20-something thousand, I believe.
And you say 80% of that gone, 20 nearly 30,000 people, and 80% of that, you know.
Yeah. That argument is not, I don't think that is true. Yes.
It don't even hold water, it don't even make no sense.
Yeah. We have a brain drain problem, but
we know that, but this is when the people them not get no pay, and the teacher them not get no pay, police not. A matter of fact, can you imagine you have a police commissioner sit on right now, and you have a police, what them call him? The crab. Yes, the crab. The commissioner, the national security minister, and Sir Gooks. And you sit down and you both so you build up the police force. You make the police them the one them who do the work, who have the experience and live in a job. And then the same set of youth them when you lock up, I feed them brother and whatever you take now a train. Them don't have good police training. So we have a dilapidated police force. Let me just start straight. I know all about nothing. Yeah? They have a police force, but them don't even have proper training right now. Because most of them leave. The real police, them leave. You understand? So he might put in some people where you just got training for 6 months. Them are not police set them. Them have to go on probation for 2 years. You go catch with them a catch. And you have put them in how much 100 of them, but you have more than 500 that leave a year. What you think happen? Them are go back way, brother. You make the professional one them leave, and then you're taking some little cobbler, but you have to go keep on for 2 years. Probation to show them and I teach them policing. You have a back way policing force right now in Jamaica, and that's the truth. Yes, Jeffrey.
I am sending you a video that I want you to play that I can ask Sir Hylton some questions on it, because I want to find out if his well let me play the video first.
Well, before I play the video, let me just ask a quick question here.
Go ahead.
Let me shut down the mic here. Listen, Sir Hylton, I this is the first time that we're meeting, and I'm particularly struck with your experience, with the ease with which you can explain some of the issues affecting Jamaica and the solutions you've provided. I have to tell you, I'm impressed. So the question I have to ask you is, why did you think you lost the election, given your experience, given your talent, given everything, and what are you doing to regain your seat in Parliament?
Well, we had an election in 2016 that we lost in Eastern St. Andrew, and money played a very.
Me just tell him, you know.
No, say it.
Money played a huge part.
The handout.
Who's the current minister there, Mr. Hylton?
The Flavor.
Flavor is the new MP. Yes.
Okay.
But talk to us about the money thing. Talk straight to the people about the money thing.
People have told me, and I've picked up intelligence that people were paid to stay home, and I'm talking about PNP people, and people were paid to vote for the other party.
What was your margin? What was your margin, though?
Well, I would won the seat by 253, and I lost it by 157.
Oh, that's 150, like equal. Oh, okay.
Right. So it's not a lot, but at the end of the day, and we had some other domestic issues in the political party division in the constituency. I think that contributed to it as well. 2020, I believe they divide in the party. I believe that challenge that we had by Senator Bunting just over a year before the elections affected the party because it was divided, and people don't like a divided house. And so that is one. The other thing that really I think happened in the general election.
The virus, man.
Is a coronavirus.
Nobody now come out.
I never understood it till afterwards. People just say, boy, my granny now come out, my mother now come out because they were very afraid. And the other thing that I believe is there was just money being spent to demobilize PNP. That is my honest opinion and the intelligence that I've picked up. So it was not just mobilizing your base, it's really demobilizing the other base. So that is what. When I go back into politics, I'm thinking about it, and I've been having some discussion with our party president, Mark Golding, and the general secretary, and a few other persons, and it's something we're discussing, and I'm very passionate about. Let me tell you, all my family, my mother had 10 children, and I'm the only one living in Jamaica. I'm trying to encourage them to come back home, and a lot of them wants to come back home. And I made the decision that I'm not going to be accepting a U.S. green card. I'm not going to be accepting a citizenship. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to work to make this place a better place. I'm just like you, Tavares and Rattigan and Herb, we love Jamaica. We want Jamaica to succeed. I think it can be done, and I'm going to do my part and I'm going to work with the next PNP government to create some of the solutions that needs to be created to transform this little place into the paradise that it is. And
one of the things you that's been alluded to here, and we have to amplify that quite a bit, Andre. There is across the Caribbean a lot of money flowing from outside into countries, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad. The money flows.
Yes.
And when the money comes in, then what happens is the vote buying begins, right? I was part of a monitoring team in Guyana. And the Sunday before the Monday's election, we were well aware that money was flowing in the capital, right? So the bottom line here is when you see the results come out, and it's very strange that the PNP was so well dominated. And there's rumors out there that Mark only offered 5,000. The Labour Party was offering 10,000 twice.
Well, it wasn't Mark at the time.
So it couldn't be Mark. So that's the next layer again because Mark.
It wasn't Mark. It wasn't Mark. Mark hasn't been to the poll yet.
I'm just telling you what
I've heard stories.
But the videos I saw.
I can tell you something though, Herb. In a Portland, I watch the East Portland seat, and them do a thing near mapping. Remember my years up on the ground when me I tell you something, me no do tabloid, but them do a thing near mapping. So what them do, them Damian, it's just some real things. Say okay, me could give them a goat like the kids them and make them that a livestock farming. Damian I do it and I'm successful in it, and them say alright, let me teach them math. Because I'm a teacher too, right? Lecturer and thing. Them no want that them start calling him goat man because them are run out of money. And now me hear people call me from Portland and I say, this woman you can't even chat to she, Anything she say, she want this and that. Same way. Yes. I say, well, you see the licky business will never stop it, man.
Stop it. Let me just one quick point. Stop it. One quick point. Mr. Hylton, if as bright, as talented, as educated as you are, and as much as you've done for your community, and the fact that somebody could come in and give $5,000 and tell people to stay home or go vote for the other party, what does that tell you about the mindset of your former constituents?
Well, this is why I said, Rattigan, that the well-thinking Jamaicans have a responsibility to their country. When a man hungry, him not say a politician or especially the young youths, see a $5 grand or a $10 grand and a rum and boom and him feel nice. Him don't know what he's voting for. We take civics out of school. So the little you just don't even understand. Him just get caught up in all the euphoria and party and rum bar and money and run and go do a vote. And to me, those people, a lot of our young people just don't think. No, they have found out. A lot of them have come to me and said, boy, Mr. Hylton, I make a mistake, We never know. Because they really got tricked. The well-thinking Jamaicans are in the majority. The lower middle class, the middle class, upper middle class, the upper class, the people with intelligence, the people who go to school, a lot of bright people in Jamaica who can think, who can vote on issues. I want you to help with your shows to see if we can get those Jamaicans. March 30th is the end, the enumeration, the cutoff date for the next batch of enumerations. I want to encourage every Jamaican to get enumerated. I'm talking about middle class people. Election day, then go, them say, boy, I go vote, but boy, you want to say, I do have a vote. Because they don't take the little time, the 15 minutes, to go to the EOJ office, get enumerated. So election day, you can go vote. You don't have to have the ID to vote. Once you're on the voters list, you can vote. Every political party, and I'm sure this government is afraid of persons who will vote on issues. And I believe if we can encourage the young people who are lots of bright young people out there, lots of well-thinking Jamaicans, to be responsible. Look here, our ancestors died, was slaughtered, drawn and burnt and treated badly so that we, their great-great-grandchildren, could have a choice. We must not spit in their faces. We must go and vote. And I know people are turned off from politics, but look here, vote every time. And once the well-thinkers of this country start voting, every political party will start pulling up their success. I genuinely believe that. So the money, the like 1 or 2 people, them who are going to take a like $5 grand or 10 grand, they are in the minorities. 37% of people voted last time, you know. Andrew Wallace is only elected by under 23% of Jamaicans.
Under 22, yes.
He's the most unpopular prime minister ever elected in this country.
Him don't know that. I mean, I have to pull it out and show. Make a show in the video where
if the well-thinking Jamaicans wake up Rattigan and go vote election day, may I tell you, say a different something.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Hylton, let me show you the video where Jeffrey wants to show. That's
what. The one with KD first.
Within our first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to fix the date for general elections in Jamaica. So no government will be able to come and make false promises and hide the truth and tell you half-truths and trick you into voting for them. And then when them win, them throw on poison for you.
100 days.
Man, throw more than poison for people, you know.
For fixed election date, still I wait for the promise before the fail. One broken promise after another. Laughable, as we say. None of your promise not fulfill that, boss. So there are we.
Within the first 100 days of our government, we will start the legislative process to institute impeachment proceedings in Parliament. This will add another layer of protection of the Parliament to ensure that only members of unquestioned integrity sit in the Parliament.
All ministers under the new Jamaica Labour Party government will be given a job letter. That job letter has a timeline of 2 years and 6 months with key performance targets which are agreed upon by the cabinet, focused on 2 things: economic growth and job creation.
Andrew, you need to do what you said from 2016. You say you're going to put it on paper. So anything you put on paper, the MP have to work with it. So you need to do it now. Because I feel like, say, when you do that, the MP will do them work. And we will see work done in the community.
Within the first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to introduce term limits on the office of Prime Minister.
Andrew Wallace, January, him break him promise and nothing him say I'm going to do for the next 100 days and now him not do nothing. Him not keep no promise and him say I'm the promise keeper. What a promise, January star.
At a convenient time within our new government, we will hold a grand referendum on the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as the final appellate court.
You make so much promise for us. Look how long you're in there. Nothing done. All for the COVID. They promise the people them $25,000. Nothing done. Huh? So what you expect me to do? Tell me if you sleep with the door and window open and nothing done.
No, when you look on that, no, my gosh. Where the answer that answer now? What Andrew can tell me say now?
No, no, Andrew gonna say where Morgan has said, look for Morgan, man.
So Hylton, Morgan, I'll ask you this question here. He came with the first 100 days for term limits, impeachment. Somebody trying to see with the door open and when opening dead like a dog. Now tell me something now, sir. If the People's National Party should gain state power in this country, would you all put in a term limit for Prime Minister, impeachment, and the Caribbean Court of Justice, the taking away from the King, and other things? Is the People's National Party willing to put the political line, the political career line, to do all of these things for the Jamaican people?
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, these are things that the PMP has campaigned on before. And yes, there have been missed opportunities, especially the getting rid of the monarchy and so on. Yeah, we could have. There are certain things that yes, the PMP could have done, but these are things that we believe in. The Caribbean Court of Appeal is something that we promoted, and I believe it's due time we move away from England. And definitely, to answer to your question, it's what we believe in, and I believe that Mark Golding and the People's National Party would be willing to do those things. And I'm sure in due time you will hear our manifesto, and we take our manifesto very seriously. One of the things I must say, though, is, and one of the grave mistake that the most honorable Prime Minister, when he was opposition leader, made with the promise of sleeping with your windows and doors open. I don't recall anywhere in history Bustamante, Sangster, Shearer, Michael Manley, Eddie Siaga, PJ Patterson, Portia Simpson Miller, Peter Phillips,
Bruce Golding.
Bruce Golding. Nowhere in history I've ever heard a opposition leader or prime minister campaigning on crime. I've never heard it before. It is so wrong. And there's a church bishop in Montego Bay that wrote an article in the Observer and said that the prime minister should apologize to the people of Jamaica, should apologize to the church, and should apologize to the PNP for that statement. Crime is bigger than any political party. It is something that everybody has to come together to solve. And when you go out and tell people that, it's certainly one of the biggest blunders that Andrew Holness has made. But it's obvious that this government has embarked on a public relation strategy of running the government, and it has become a public relation government. But the people are finding out that it's not connecting. Look here, never in the history of Jamaica have we seen almost every single ministry advertising on mainstream media. Every agency of government is advertising. Down to the JCF is advertising. And I mean, there's a place for education and so on. A huge advertising program. So it has become a PR government. But at some point, the people are going to say, look, it's not matching up. It is just not matching up. And it shows the danger of any political party, any political leader in Jamaica to get up and frivolously make stupid promises to the Jamaican people. And these are the things why the people are so turned off from politics. You know, Andrew has, yes, people were kind of turned off before, but it's worse now because there are a lot of people that hope in Andrew Holness. And when he just blatantly promised those things and turn him out tomorrow, one of my favorite Andrew Holness moments is when he said that Jamaica is Michael Manley mash up Jamaica, and we are. That's
why
Michael Manley policy mash up Jamaica was the reason why Jamaica is in the position.
No, when get man, this alone turn me black, blue, brown, white, everything. Me I say, listen, we know about that policy. We know about the CIA. Remember, we never know.
Yes.
We are come from the 60s.
Yes.
We never know. We lived through the 70s. You understand?
But,
we go through the whole thing. Him come back.
Yes.
And he said, my godfather, and it was wrong. And no, he's the greatest. And then him start talk some pretty thing. I say, you're one of them sell out to, You're about 70. You're Moscow, all aging by 78.
Yes.
You get a piece of man the thing when him do. Look what thing the man said.
Yes. If you notice Mark Golding, when he said, for instance, there where they had the issue with the ticketing system, Mark didn't just criticize it, but he drafted the legislation and said,
and then block it.
Well, they block it, but the point is, I don't think the PNP, that's not my experience with the PNP, that we just get up and frivolously make promise. We have to be responsible.
And yes, that is it.
We have to be responsible. And I want to say to Jamaicans again, the PNP and the JLP is not the same. And the facts are there. If you just take time to research it, the facts are there. We are far more careful with the respect that we have for the people.
Me notice Mark no rush him. I know what on Jeffrey. Me notice Mark draw the thing. But you know why them black it, them use the majority and black it because them say, well, the opposition leader draw this and make him look good. Them a play politics with people thing. Meanwhile, a prime minister of Jamaica make every kid from 12 year old and under will put them out to the dogs for walk. You're not going to carry them because in a public transportation system, if me carry them, me carry 4 of them, me get $20,000 ticket. That means your government will say, yo, leave them an animal, you know. Leave them a road, and me going to charge you if you carry them. Go and make a buy 4 car seat. Me not get no, look at how much money if you carry a little child. So me not make the money already, but me I carry the child. And then you got charge. You say, hey, if you ever try carry them, I say, I'm going to charge you. Andrew, remember this fact, unforgivable. Me with my kids, them, you don't play with kids like that, brother. Yes,
so Hylton, I think I'm gonna say this to you, and I want Wayne to play the video with the eldest statesman in the People's National Party, apart from PJ Patterson, the great Sheriff KD Knight.
Yes.
But I have to say this to you. If my memory serves me correctly, and I'm starting to be corrected, I think the president of the Senate, the good gentleman, said he doesn't think that Jamaica should stick with the CCJ. If my memory serves me correctly, that's what he said.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't quote him on it.
But if okay, what is your views on the CCJ, Mr. Tavares? For instance, if I misquote you, sir, I apologize. What is your views on the CCJ?
Well, the CCJ was set up by CARICOM, and we funded it. The Jamaican taxpayers have funded the CCJ. The late Edward Siaga had some concerns about election of judges, selection of judges, funding of the court, and so on. Those concerns were addressed. Even the former Prime Minister, Bruce Golding, now says that if he was asked, and if certainly he thinks that the CCJ should be the final court. We have, I think even Jamaica, we have an excellent judiciary that has, they have distinguished themselves. And the people of Jamaica has faith in the judiciary. And by extension, the Caribbean. And we have some fine minds, I believe, that is able to adjudicate on these issues. I find it very insulting that a Jamaican, if he wants another opinion or the final court, he has to get a visa to go to England. It is very expensive. You know what it costs from Jamaica to go to England. And of course, I don't think the Lords of England is brighter than our Caribbean judges. I don't. And the Jamaican Labour Party needs to stop the foolishness. They have found themselves in a pickle and they just don't know how to get out of it. But the Caribbean Court of Appeal has ruled and has proven themselves to be a competent court that is capable of being the final court for the Caribbean. And we must cut the foolishness and deal with it. It's taking too long. So I'm fully behind having a CCJ.
Can you play the video with KD for me, please?
All right. So make a play the video with KD, but you did ask me for some. Make a seat here. Hold on. Right now, hold on. KD.
A great star boy, man.
Yeah,
well, before
pack your bags and go.
Yeah. That famous pathologically mendacious.
It's bad, you know. It's bad, man.
But KD is a fine man. I have an utmost respect for KD Knight. Actually, someone that I love to talk to. He's really an excellent mentor and one of the finest minds that we have had in the country.
Okay, all right, here goes. Here goes.
Let me tell you the problem. And people don't seem to understand this part of it. Money is not easy to come by. You ask people for donations and so on.
Volume win.
They give you some.
This one low.
I don't want to tell you who was Oswest's largest donor. I don't want to tell you who gave him the most money. But I'll tell you this. Much of the money that the Labour had spent in this election was money that they stole from the people themselves. They stole that money and they stored a part of it to use in buying votes. It is not through the generosity of others that they were able to get the whole set of money that they had. This was as a result of them stealing $14 billion from the public purse. 14 billion, that's $4.6 million from every single Jamaican, including the baby, including the beggar who was to pay GCT. And then they took it and they bought my black brothers and sisters. This is a return to slavery. That's what it is. But this time is not the white man buying the black man. It's the black man putting up himself for sale to anybody, whether black or white. My brother, we are going to regret this. I will be gone. I will be gone. But black people going to regret it, because the time is coming when not one single person coming out of North East St. Catherine will be able to become a member of Parliament. Not one. Only the rich, the very rich, will be able to become.
That bad.
You know, Sir Hylton.
Wow.
I know you can't comment on what the goodly statesman has said, because we don't know where he got it from. But obviously, KD got it from somewhere. Mr. Knight got it from somewhere. Are we going to regret the political era of the JLP in this time? In the sense of Jamaicans right now are crying out, in a sense of saying, we have a prime minister who believes that he's a dictator, a prime minister who doesn't listen to the people, a prime minister who believes that we can't speak to him. He went to the Jamaican Parliament, the People's Parliament, and justify his move to go onto Clifton property. The Prime Minister, who's the Minister of Defense, call out the Jamaica Defense Force and the JCF to bulldoze down poor people land, poor people house and lands in Clifton, and said that there's Klansman people selling the property. And yet, only one person was charged. And I keep on asking the question, Prime Minister, go back into the Parliament and tell the people of Jamaica, if the lady, the principal of the school in your constituency, is she a part of the Klansman gang? You justify it when you went to the People's Parliament to justify the cause of bulldozing down poor people's house.
Yes.
Mr. Hylton, where is this country going?
You know, for the third time, I'm going to say this. The well-thinking Jamaicans, our well-thinking brothers and sisters of this country, needs to get enumerated and step out on election morning in any neutral color that you wish. If you want to wear a comrade shirt, then that's fine, but you don't have to. You wear anything you want to wear, but go and vote. Because there are some of our brothers and sisters who are vulnerable. And sometimes they are so poor, sometimes they are just so hungry, and sometimes them just barely licky. But who has to save us is us ourselves. We have to encourage our brothers and sisters to take this business of voting seriously. I think the People's National Party deserves another chance of running Jamaica. Yes, people wanted to see a JLP government. The people have seen them. They realize what the Jamaica Labour Party is capable of or what they're not capable of. The only way we're going to solve this problem, and what KD says is so true and is very painful, is all of us, well, thinkers in this country, go to a EOJ office near you and register. Get up election morning, go and vote for a political party of your choice.
Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
All right.
That's the only solution I see. It's the only solution because money going to come in next election.
Yeah, but
Michael Manley say no, boops them out and vote them out.
Yo, well, let me ask you something about the money though. Yeah. Why all them want pass all kind of legislation, but you don't pass a legislation for any member of parliament to buy vote? Them to get locked up, them to get expelled from party, and them to go to prison. Why it's so hard to do these things?
There is no proof to it.
But the money spent. And then who I get the vote? So if me, all right, so if me I can buy a vote, and then I can vote Mr. Hylton run, even if them send me, when you look, me not gonna buy it for the other man, I can spend it for Mr. Hylton. Yeah. I don't go that. When me start video it, I make some people start video ask who send and what have you, and then you will track some money. Money can't track, you know, better. Money have number upon it and everything, you know. So if it come from certain Bank of Jamaica, although them not good in themselves, but money can track. Money have serial numbers. And when you get so much money for go move one time, for go buy vote, it all come in a seal package.
Yes.
Say for $1,000 them have come seal. You know, say at this bank, you know who draw it and everything. It can trace. So when them hear about money and trace, them think you must have you are a market itself. No. It come with the numbers and everything seal. So when we know where the money come from. But tell me when you have friends in places, then you know say things are run down. Jamaica need to change. Me get
and not Mr. Lonesome.
Yes.
We're gonna have Mr. Herb come because people ask how Herb not saying anything. But Sir Hylton.
Yes.
If the retirement age is 60, why do we have some people in there who will soon put on pampers and push them out of parliament? What is good for the goose is good for the gander.
Let me say my personal opinion, and this is not the PMP's position. We believe in a mix of ages, both age, young and experience. We sometimes have to. I agree with that. Some persons have given the now for a better way.
Like Matusla.
But let me tell you something. We have to have experience. No,
sorry,
look here.
Yes.
In fairness,
yes,
we must have a mix of youth and experience. We must never underestimate experience. I believe that if Andrew Holness had the experience, well, first of all, if he had the wisdom to seek guidance, even if he doesn't have the experience, he wouldn't have made some of the decisions that he has made. But there's a real place for experience. I don't join this foolishness that you're too old or you're too young. We need both. We need strong hands, strong legs to go out and do the work, but we need guidance that will bring the agenda. So yes, there are some persons that can retire and we give them time to retire, yes, but we must never buy into this. We did it with Andrew Holness, young people time, and we are disappointed.
All right.
So I believe that there's a place for experience.
Okay, we could get 2 questions in now because some people are calling it. Go to Brown. Hold on.
Mr. Hylton.
Yeah, man.
2 quick questions. I noticed a pattern. I don't know if it's me or the only person seeing it, but whenever I see the PMP keep, not the JLP, the PMP keep a meeting in Port Antonio, and after they leave, place get robbed or burned down. I see Mr. Golden keep a meeting, I think, last week in Christiana. By leave, shop was vandalized. Some store was vandalized. Is this the same all-time politics coming back again?
Well, I hope not. I can't speak to it, but I really hope. I believe that we have passed those days.
I'm seeing it. It's an issue that bother me. In the diaspora that I'm seeing. Is they will go in again?
All right.
And to what Mr. Trevor said, when certain people reach certain age and cannot make decision, they need to come out of the party. Because if a police to reach 60 years, he cannot do no more service. Why? So why the politician was excluded?
No, really, we're not gonna follow that like when say because if you're looking at it, even Biden is a good man and right them turn a robot, but he might do some good things. He might 80 now, right? And things so, but he's a good man. He's a very good man. No, but you see, so when it talks politician, listen, and you the knowledge, you know. And things like when Mr. Hylton say, you understand what I say? But Mr. Biden is a good man.
I'm not saying the one that cannot make good decisions.
Well, them one they will move them when them have Alzheimer's or something.
Now we need to have Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
Is there two kind of politics in Jamaica? Like if the JP them thief, like all those are thieving the money out of the body. The police not responsible to lock them up.
Well, people have been arrested, though. I mean, Royal Reed was arrested. Yeah.
The amount of thief, the man of thief, a man with the 400 million from the municipality, he don't
get
locked up.
Prison.
Yeah.
Ghana prison. Yes, man. Them Ghana prison.
I
But
believe
more
the
that, you
Jamaican
talk about
people.
the president money now. And you talk about the education money. And you talk about the one where they in a house and get locked up. And you talk about SSL now. Nobody not talk to the oligarch. Nobody.
It was charged to fraud, and they still pay 23 million to go to it as a pension. How that come? He's supposed to give that back that money.
Yeah. Well, we need proper governance for sure. Number 2 is Royal Reed was arrested.
Yes, sir. All right.
No, Royal Reed was arrested. In fairness, it took quite a while, but and maybe people feel that Jamaican people feel that more people should be arrested because
but Mr. Hylton, and I'll see you as much. You arrest a man. Look how much get to you them arrest. Get arrested, and right now they are prison.
Yeah.
You people man go here say this and that and get up and you can't talk front of judge. Who is Will Reed? Missy Annex convicted. A convicted criminal named Al Miller. Maybe I'm convicted 2 times, so I can answer what I want to say. Convicted, dangerous convicted criminal Al Miller. Come out and I say, you don't lead the like that. You don't even have no authority, no moral authority for talk. Al Miller. But you're still in the on board same way. These things for stop.
But not only Mr. Lonesome. But not only Mr. Lonesome. Mr. Hylton is saying, and we all know, that they get locked up and whatever. When is the people of this country gonna see a next politician whose hand is caught in the public kitty go to prison like Jack Smith? When is it gonna happen in this country where Jamaicans can feel comfortable and say yes? Yeah. We have a system that works for everybody, not a system that only works for the Vumvavan and the Vumvavian society, but the people live along Crossroad don't get nothing. The people live along Crossroad with the dirty foot trousers, them going to prison. But the people of the Vumvavan and the Vumvavi, them going scot free. It cannot continue, Mr. Hylton. And that is why Jamaicans are turned off from the 2 political parties.
Yes, the current situation with the Prime Minister and the one charge that can be verified against him by the Integrity Commission. And they speak of the charge and then simultaneously rule that it cannot be prosecuted because it's been too long.
Yes.
Why hasn't the PNP brought in somebody to ask the DPP for fiat to prosecute the Prime Minister? Because you can have another person do the prosecution. It doesn't have to be the DPP, and it doesn't have to be the prosecutor at the Integrity Commission. So if the PNP has attorneys who are available that can ask for that fiat to pursue that charge, why has that not happened?
Well, I think I'm not a lawyer, so that question is probably above my pay grade. But I want to just say something, that when I served in the Parliament and Portia Simpson Miller, Most Honorable Portia Simpson, was Prime Minister, there are two ministers that were relieved of their positions or resigned, whichever way you want to put it. Was Fenton Ferguson with the dead baby scandal, and internationally, the dead baby stats in Jamaica was lower than the international numbers. So we're within the bandwidth of the international standard. But because it became a scandal, he was relieved of his position.
So who turned it in a scandal though? Because
the Jamaica Labour Party did at the time.
Okay,
and Portia being a responsible Prime Minister, Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, being responsible, responded to the cry of the people to say,
okay, so now, answer this now. So now, when you have a health minister who have more than how much dead baby scandal, dog eat baby in a fridge and all kind of thing. By the way, him not taking the blame. Ratty that finish.
I'm just trying to.
I know what you said. No, me talk the present one now, you know. The present one. Me not talk Portia. Me not talk Dr. Christopher Tufton.
No, I quite understand. Yes. And more babies have died under
a lot.
Tufton.
But me don't see the Prime Minister move him.
Yeah, but I want to say though, what the point I'm making, the People's National Party is different. When Mr. Azan breached a procedure in the Spalding market in building a few little board stalls to help the people to have somewhere to sell, because he breached a procedure, the Andrew Holness, then opposition leader, made a big stink of it. The Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, being a decent leader of I believe a decent political movement, asked him to step aside until the Contractor General did his investigation. Don't mix up PMP and JLP. We operate differently. I'm giving you two instances where there is a scandal, not of corruption, but just things that people felt was out of place or should not have been done, you know, and they resigned, or the Prime Minister. So I can't speak for the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Honorable,
when the PNP is in power and there are issues of this nature, and this is cheese to chalk, we deal with it. So
that's why we asked Andrew now. That's why we asked Andrew, you have man with 93 and 91% disapproval ratings. Google and Crab, them stay the right there, them no move. You have a misinformation minister. Right now, it's not a misinformation minister. Say them have bloggers out and them do this and that. That are the one we're in the right now. Them not do nothing with him. Them keep them spread the most scandal. Bug life. Them keep the most scandal. Them do the most things. So, you know, come on now, we have to hold them accountable now, brother. Jamaica can't run so. So that's why we don't compare the two parties.
Let me ask Mr. Hylton a question. Herb, Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
You can hear me. Right. Herb just raised a significant point regarding the Integrity Commission and the findings, right, and the refusal to prosecute. No, you said that, and he said there was one charge that the prosecutor, the corruption prosecutor, said that she felt could be established in court, but that she wasn't going to prosecute because, and to use the term, abuse of process. And I'm trying to figure out, what does abuse of process means? What does it mean? And in this sense, it appears as if they're talking about time, because the incident occurred back in 2007, 2008. It wasn't investigated until 2016, and it wasn't brought to the parliament until 2023. No, you said that the PNP and the JLP operate differently, and let me just follow up by what Herb initiated. Under the Integrity Commission Act of 2017, section, give me a section. I know you're not a lawyer, but I'm just, and if you wanna, you can go back and watch this tape, or you want to take notes and then offer it to the lawyers within the PNP. It's section 34, subsection 4. It says, without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 1A. And 1A talks about the DPP under section 96 of the Constitution having primacy over these matters. It says the Director of Corruption Prosecution may, acting on his own volition or upon the request of the Commission, request an opinion from the DPP as to whether or not to initiate criminal proceedings in respect of any matter that has been referred to him under this Act or any other enactment or on a point of law. Question is this: why hasn't the PNP gone to the Commission openly and in publicly and said, listen, we believe that, not we believe, the prosecutor said there's enough evidence here to charge him, but she's not doing it because of abuse of process. DPP, under this section, we are requesting that you take a look at this matter and render an opinion. Why has the PNP done that?
Well, I can't say, but I think it's something worth contemplating, and I will discuss it with our party leader, Comrade Mark Golding, and he's a very, very smart lawyer, and I think it's something that we should look into. I can't speak to it. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a lawyer. But just to say though on this matter that it was very embarrassing that the Prime Minister was found in this situation, and the Westminster system of politics that we practice, under that system, the Prime Minister should have excused himself based on the evidence of that report. It's very unfortunate, and you know, the polls that just came out, the Jamaican people are watching. Jamaican people, they say Tom drunk but Tom no fool. Jamaican people no fool. Jamaican people are very, very smart, and they have realized that they've been taken for a ride, and what they voted for is not what they're getting. This is not what they signed up for. And these are some of the issues that cause the popularity of the Prime Minister and the Jamaica Labour Party to have plummeted to the level that it is today. And of course, the PNP, which I believe has brought back, has been united, or certainly far more united than before, is gaining a lot more traction than before. And the election day, it is, you know, I believe that the people of Jamaica will speak. When them done with it, then done with it, you know.
Yeah.
Jamaican people, when we are very patient people.
Very forgiving.
Mr. Hylton.
Let me just let me just make one quick correction, because I gave the wrong side. It's of the Integrity Commission Act of 2017. It's section 34,
yes.
34 subsection 4. Yes. And when you read subsection 4, it talks about 1A, which is 34 1A, and 34 1A refers to the Constitution of Jamaica, section 94. I said 96. It's 94, and 94 talks about the establishment of office and functions of the DPP. So it's 34. It's 34 1A, 34 4, and the Constitution, section 94.
Yeah, I'm going to get your contacts from Mr. Lonesome and have you send me those things, and I'll open that discussion
But I want to say something, though. I want to say something very important. First thing, don't you trouble Zion. That's what the Prime Minister come out and say. I must have made with that. And I don't know how. And how good is
my mother would have said, Papa Jesus, take the keys.
Don't you trouble Zion. Zion alone have the key. I said, don't you trouble Andrew.
All right.
Don't you trouble Andrew.
But hear this now. I don't want you just ask something Rattigan and feel off. Right? For, for the opposition leader try carry to the DPP. The DPP, let me tell you, strike 5. The DPP, Mistress strike 5, Santa. I want in the clique. So me talk to them straight because them watch me. She a part of the clique. So no care where you have an opposition leader come and do, there will be no charges unless you have the shoes change. So you keep it like how me keep file for them. And when you change, when government get changed now, then you attack them. But don't attack them now because when them do them put people in some position. But that's why you just notice some people were supposed to get charged or go prison, them now gone away.
The good thing about that,
yes.
The good thing about that is that there is no statute of limitation in Jamaica on corruption.
So you wait and use it. Just be wise. We just give some, advice. What do you say? Solicit advice, free solicit.
Don't you trouble Zion.
We just wait. Just hold on, man. Every man have them time, and from it now have no statute of limitation. Nothing can run out. It's okay. We are got trouble Zion.
Yes.
We are got trouble Zion. We don't be we're gonna melt Zion key.
The show full of fun though, Lonesome.
Yes, man.
Full of vibes.
Yes, man.
What?
Yo,
the signal plane.
I said that bad things that make laugh, eh?
Yeah, no, because them know we're serious, So when we're serious, them can't stand this,
We're serious, We're serious, But sometimes I have a little humor in it because when you look at this going on in our country, Sir Hylton,
yes.
People living below the poverty line. I keep on telling people, it's only rich and poor people in Jamaica. There's no middle class in our country anymore.
Nah.
You're rich
it's
or you're poor.
Shrinking. It's shrinking.
It's shrinking long time.
Is there a bar association in Jamaica? I'm sure there is, right?
Yes, there is.
So if there's a bar association in Jamaica, Mr. Hylton, what would motivate them to speak on that subject? To speak about the prosecution of a case against the Prime Minister when there's ample evidence? Just like how we see them running out the clock on Roy Reid, they've run out the clock on the other minister from
Andrew Wheatley.
Wheatley. They keep running down the clock on these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're talking about it's too old a case and it would probably do the Prime Minister a disservice to bring the case up. No. Yeah. The people of Jamaica need to know that their people are upstanding and that they're honest.
Yes.
So if he gets away with it, he covers the other two ministers, they get away with the shenanigans that they went on with. So crime does pay. And that's the message to every Jamaican out there, that crime is paying. Look at the Prime Minister. Look at the two ministers.
I could take a call from a caller, wait a long time, like 5 hours. If you just ask me and something. Caller.
Hello.
Yes, man.
Hello? Yeah, good night to you, Mr. Lonesome, and your panel and your special guest, Mr. Hylton.
Yes.
I call merely as a follow-up to what Mr. Hylton said about the poor, hungry people taking bribe for selling them vote. No, I am sure I heard you allude to that. If Mr. Hylton would realize, it's not a one-way street. If somebody is selling, if somebody is buying, is selling them vote, then somebody must be buying and offering money. So I don't necessarily hear what kind of punitive action will be taken to the person who is actually buying the vote. I mean, those are the persons who is offering the poor, hungry people money for selling their votes.
Patrick, you remember when me just asked Mr. Hylton and I say, why them don't pass something to the house that when Jeffery say, you might can't prove, and I say, yes, you can trace. You can chase money and do something. Give me a runner, you see, when you see 20 million come out, who got spend 20 million and I pay, when you look them I buy my vote, I buy a vote for me. Who got do that? And let me a part of that. Do you understand? So when you see these things now, people for start go press the feet.
It is against the law. It is against the law to buy votes.
It's against the law. Okay.
It is against the law, yes.
But there are videos out there that capture the people who are actually handing out money.
Yes.
They have videos of the car there, the license plate is there. How comes none of that stuff got turned in? Nobody ever got prosecuted.
Because everything I capture, your license plate one was, so I know who drive the car, who them there owner, which party them belongs to. Everything you can know.
You know, Wayne.
Yes.
And maybe Sir Hylton gonna be upset because of what I said. I think political parties has put a blind eye to a lot of things when it comes on to elections. And this has been going on for years.
Yes.
It's been going on from what? Kill Philip and Philip dead long time.
It will stop.
And until we in our country, no, it is our fundamental rights to vote or not to vote.
Yeah.
It is your fundamental exercise the right to vote. Your vote is not for sale. And if you want to take the money because your money next year same way again.
And you don't vote for them. But hear this now. We hear one of them did put up something on social media, must a child's daughter. So they can come back for no vote. But somebody else say, I buy my vote, bought some water, some things on road, and she make fun and put it up. Me did have it up, you know. I saw them people are so bright. And then you have some people from Western St. Thomas that tell me, say, man, I tell you, say, hey, man, I'm buying my vote, you know, so I will not give me no chat, you know. I say, why would never tape him and send him, come give me the renegade.
You know,
tape him and send, come give me.
I'm going to ask Sir Hylton this question.
Just before, I just want to finish up. Right. And I know that it was said that when anybody who is given funds for contribution to party to run election, those are to be declared. So yes. I heard Mr. The Honorable KD Knight was saying how much money was spent. But if that is the case, it seems as though the declaration of election funding, that part of it is also being overlooked. Because we, the public, supposed to know, according to what was agreed on, from my understanding, that everybody who is contributing to the political parties, it's supposed to be published and the public would know. We have still not heard that. And just in closing now, since the time is short, I am concerned about the fact that the FBI is not a part of the investigation of what has happened at SSL. So I would like to ask Mr. Rattigan and Mr. Herb, you know, if them could allay my worrisomeness that this thing is going to go down like everything else and just sweep under the carpet. Because I don't understand, the Minister of Finance got up in Parliament and
tell the people of the country lie. They lie on Monday, they lie on Tuesday, lie every day. Lie.
Yes, yeah, he said that even more than we saw, the FBI is now inside of the thing and get information even more that he was looking at. And now I heard a statement that the FBI is not a part of it. So I don't know what Mr. Rattigan and Mr. Herb to allay my fears of a 90 wonder, what they could say to me that will make me feel, say, boy, something will happen, especially with the FBI.
All right. I make them answer you, but I can't tell you, so we now make it a 90 wonder, yeah? We not making this a 90 wonder. Ratty?
You want to go Herb or you want me to go?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. I've had 30 years of proud service with the FBI, and I know a little bit. Not know a whole lot, you know, because I'm tough, but I know a little bit about how they operate. And furthermore, I've operated overseas. I've served as a diplomat, several countries, 6 countries on the Arabian Peninsula, and I think 16 countries in Southern Africa. And I've been involved in all kinds of investigations. Now, here's what's troubling to me. First thing, you have a minister of finance, not the minister of national security, not the police commissioner, people who are responsible for the safety and the security of the country. Not them. They didn't come out and make the announcement. It was announced by the minister of finance that the FBI was involved, and that they had intensified their investigation, and that the investigation was much further along than he had anticipated. That was followed by a story put out by Mr. Brooks from Nationwide, I think, saying that the investigation was being conducted out of Dominican Republic, which is where well, let me just go back. There's an FBI presence in Jamaica, an ALAT, an assistant legal attaché. That's the State Department title given to the assistant, and the person who's in charge of the office is called the legal attaché. Now, the legal attaché works out of the embassy in Santo Domingo in Dominican Republic, and the affiliate office in Jamaica is headed by an assistant, and I think there's just one person there, and they're supposed to provide assistance and exchange information, develop relationships, and so on and so forth. So the first thing is that the minister came out and said the FBI was involved. Second thing is the statement put out by Mr. Ricardo Brooks, I believe his name is, saying that his sources told him that it was being handled out of the Dominican Republic, which tells me one thing, that it wasn't a real investigation, because otherwise they would be in Jamaica. The third thing was we have Mr. McLaughlin from CTOC saying that it's a local investigation, and if and when international tentacles are discovered, the FBI would then be invited. We were later told that he was making a reference to Miss Panton, which is nonsense, because even if he did, it's one investigation. Fourth thing, there's a statement put out by the FID, Financial Investigative Division, and the JCF, joint statement, saying that what Mr. McLaughlin said was referring to a local investigation. More nonsense. Then that was followed by the Minister of Finance again coming on Mr. Lonesome's program, and he was still peddling the same nonsense about it's a local investigation, and the person didn't really, insinuating that Mr. McLaughlin didn't understand the gravity and the breadth and the depth of the investigation, and that he was just referring to a local investigation. Now, here's where I come in now. If the FBI was involved, you would know, because people would see them, and most of them don't look like me. When I joined the FBI in 1987, 4% black agents. When I left in 2017, 4% black agents. Them don't look like me. So you would see them, right? The other thing is that they brought in Kroll. They brought in Kroll from the UK as a forensics company. I said, oh, they're going to help. In fact, the minister made that statement a while back, saying he had asked his international partners for a referral for a forensics firm, and that they brought in Kroll. No, the FBI is one of the leading agencies when it comes to forensics. I mean, I've worked with forensics people in the FBI, and if you're going to ask for help, why wouldn't you take that help from the FBI? And it's free, by the way. They don't charge. They do not charge. It's part of their mandate. They don't charge. Why wouldn't you take the full scope of investigative assistance? Why wouldn't you take that? And another point is that the FBI now go work with Kroll and exchange information, because there must be there's going to be a clearance issue, right? And a security clearance issue. And the second thing is there must be a need to know. I mean, I sitting across from another squad in any field office, I can't just start looking at people's stuff, because the first question, all FBI agents have top secret clearance, but then they're going to say, where is the need to know? Why is it you're looking at my case files when you're assigned to another area? Where is the need to know? That's going to trigger an investigation. So this whole idea that the FBI is involved, I would like, in pretty much the same way that they had this PR parade when Kroll and the minister signed that agreement, what they should have done, if they really wanted to convince the Jamaican people that the FBI was involved, they should have had a press conference with the FBI too. Even if the FBI said nothing, but just have them up there. I mean, the symbolism of it to say, look, we are going after this thing and we have everybody here. We have JCF, we have FBI, we have this, we have that. That would have been perfect. We haven't seen any of that. But then keep in mind also that, when the prime minister and the police commissioner were going to Washington, they run up their mouth, blah, blah, blah. We're taking names. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. FBI was mum. And then they come back and then you don't hear anything about the assistance provided. And so the FBI's mum, they should say to the FBI, listen, we need to allay the fears of people that this thing is going to be swept under the rug. One more point before I turn it over to Herb. The mayor, former NYPD police officer, right? He offered. They had some gala last year, with the Jamaican consulate, and he made a pledge to provide assistance to Jamaica regarding drugs and guns being shipped from New York to Jamaica. I think his advisors they advised him incorrectly, because I don't believe there are drugs going from New York to Jamaica. I think it's the other way around. But be that as it may, he said he's going to provide assistance. To date, we haven't heard from anyone from the Ministry of National Security. We haven't heard from anyone, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, regarding this assistance. I've been asking, where is the assistance? He said he's going to give you. Did you ask him? What did you ask him for? When was it provided? Who's in charge of it? When did it arrive? All of these questions, nothing. Herb, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah. The irony to all of this is NYPD also has a forensic team that they could assist the Jamaican police in investigating the matter at SSL. At SSL, you had ample evidence that they were in cover-up mode. Why? Because when the FSC sent its report over to the finance minister's office, he claimed he hadn't seen the report and there was no such report. Of course, when it came out that the report was sent via bearer, meaning somebody in person presented it, somebody had to sign for it, and via email directly to the minister, all of a sudden he found the report. The bottom line is you can do all the cover-up and use all the methodologies for shenanigans that you want, but in the end, if they allow CETA, MOCA to do their jobs, the truth would come out. I have faith that they can do the job, but the problem is you can't use Gina and Panton as your poster child for SSL, because Gina and Panton may be responsible for some of the transgressions at SSL, but she's not responsible for all 40 or more transgressions at SSL. So you really and truly need a complete investigation. You need transparency above all, and then you need prosecutions. Not Gina and Panton, but whoever else was manipulating the monies and violating the rules at SSL. And I'm sure there are others that we have heard of, but nobody has talked about the questioning of the owner or the owner's son, who was one CEO, or any of the other CEOs who participated at SSL, who claim they don't know who Usain Bolt was. So, if you want to believe all of this stuff that you're hearing from this government, you go ahead. But the bottom line is that they're in cover-up mode, and all the shenanigans designed for them to control the information flow. Nothing else.
But hold on there, Mr. Herb. You need to tell us that you found out about the company that they're bringing in now. The ranking of it, is it on top or is it down to whatever percentage?
Nobody can see it. The way them this.
Yeah, the ranking of this company is not in the top 10, and we didn't see it in the top 20. So if you're going to go for a company that carries clout, you should have just Googled who are the top 10 forensic investigation companies in the UK, and you'd have seen them. And that's who you should have go after.
But particularly since the UK government decided to fund part of the investigation, part of the fees for this company. You should have gone for the number. Well, if you can't get the number one, at least somebody in the top 10. But you went instead for somebody who's not even in the top 20.
So them go for a request company and then pose up and sign with him. So why they never pose up with the FBI?
Yeah, exactly.
but not only that.
Hold on, don't forget. Let go Mr. Hylton now because we still reach 2.5 hours and we see Mr. Hylton. We know your time, man.
No, man, he enjoyed it. He not ready to go yet, man.
No, man, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
You're enjoying it. So let's ask this question then.
Yes.
Mr. Hylton, through your political connection within the PNP, my former member of the PNP, don't you think the PNP should demand the government of this country to come out and tell the people the truth about the FBI in Jamaica, yes or no, sir?
And our party leaders asked the question. I do agree with you. You know, this is just how messy governance has become in Jamaica. We can't have a minister coming out and saying that we are engaging the FBI on this matter. And then a few weeks later, you just, no notice, you just sign an agreement with somebody else. I mean, it's just very messy. And this is why I keep saying the PNP and the JLP is not the same. We do not do business like that. We can't treat the Jamaican people. We can't take them for granted. You can't come to the public.
Start the button.
Yeah.
Do you know why they end up saying that the FBI is involved? Because of Wil Rattigan, myself, and Wayne Lonesome. Wil Rattigan came on my program, Roots 96.1 FM, and said to them, Usain Bolt, get in contact with me. And we went as far as said it's time for them to call in the FBI. That is why they came out and said they're calling the FBI. If we didn't do it, they wouldn't do it, say something like that.
Wow. You know,
keep on calling the FBI, you know.
Yes, what this tells us is that the diaspora, we have to recognize the role that the diaspora will have to play in the refashioning of Jamaica and how we do business. This cannot be. You know, when you said it, I believe, Jeffrey, when the Prime Minister came to Parliament and talked about Clifton, he misled the Parliament, and I have not heard an apology.
No, not apology. It's supposed to Westminster style Parliament. Yes. When them have a Prime Minister there, and him tell him lie and him do him thing, him have to step down.
Yes. Yes.
And then you have the lady go in and she come and say, oh, can't manage. They move she too. And you have an ex-Prime Minister here. Him just go and talk about what am I doing, the goodies. And him sit down in the back of the car.
Yes.
Make them video him without a seatbelt. And them charge him.
Yes.
And him apologize to the whole nation.
Yeah. If we're going to regain the confidence of our Jamaicans in the political process, we have to get back to some decency in the way we govern. We cannot continue this way, where we just get up one day and say one thing and then do another. We show that we have no respect for the Jamaican people. And this Andrew Holness government has been caught on too many occasions doing this, and I think it needs to stop. I believe that the FBI should be involved. It is a very important issue, and Jamaicans are very upset, not especially because one of our athletes that we love dearly, money was fleeced in this out of this company, and it's very hurtful, and a lot of other Jamaicans lose their money in there. And I believe if we want to regain the confidence in the financial systems of the world, we should we should do the right thing.
But they don't want to do it, Mr. Hylton, because them is involved in the shimbangarang. If the FBI comes in, Mr. Hylton, hold on a minute, sir. If the FBI comes in, when they're going to investigate, they're going to lead that donor funds is being fleeced off. They're going to lead that so many money is gone and on the table. So that is why they don't want to put in the FBI, because they are afraid. So they believe that Wil Rattigan have papers on them, and we said that he does.
Look at
They're
Rattigan.
afraid of Wil Rattigan. They're afraid of everything. See the papers on them.
Rattigan frightened them.
You want the file? You want the Ratty?
Yeah.
You tell them that amount of 5 run, yeah.
No, we're not telling you. No, we are wait for the right moment. We are waiting for the right moment.
All right.
Then
So we tell them some bank. We have some nice bank for them.
But you know, Mr. Hylton, before you comment on that, I just want to throw something. You just mentioned a key phrase, just a refashioning the diaspora, right?
Yeah.
And here's what happened. The government of Jamaica has refashioned the diaspora. And that's why you have this panel here, because we don't consider ourselves as part of their diaspora. And what do I mean by that? They've established something called what I call the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. And they have appointed, I think, about 3/4 of the members, or 3/5, somewhere around there, of the members. Some of them appointed directly by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. They don't represent us. They don't represent our interests. These people are puppets. And I tell you what, pretty soon, at some point in time, they're going to end up facing criminal charges, because what happened is that there's something called the Foreign Agents Registration Act that they're not in compliance with. The people in America who are part of this, having discussions with embassy members, foreign government officials. They're not reporting it to the U.S. Department of Justice. No, there's a lady who has been doing, and I won't call her name, but she's been sending stuff out on behalf of the PNP in the diaspora. And what she did, she actually went to the Department of Justice and said, "Look, this is I'm involved with a foreign party, political party. What do I need to do in order to comply with the requirements?" They told her. And when she said, and I just got something from her today, when she sent stuff out, she said, "This is what I'm sending out." And she said, "For further information, please go to the U.S. Department of Justice for blah, 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 blah." That's what they should be doing. They're not doing it. They haven't gotten the council to say, are we in violation or not? And I'm telling you, mark my words, at some point in time, if the U.S. government decides that, hey, you know what, for whatever reason, we're going to prosecute these people, they're looking at, what is it? I think it's like 5 years in prison of her felony or something like that, and $250,000 fine, or 6 months for misdemeanor, and 25,000. So when you talk about refashioning the diaspora, that is their concept of refashioning the diaspora, where they have people that they can control. Them can't control this panel.
No.
This cannot control this panel.
No, because my name Tavares, they can't control me.
And believe me, when them have them, and when they have the town hall meeting, and we end up in the town hall meeting, them avoid us. Them don't want we ask no questions.
Yes.
Them avoid us completely.
Yes.
And just one quick step, but I see where the PNP, and I'm not making a statement on behalf of the PNP. I've never voted in Jamaica, but I see where they're taking a positive step in terms of uniting the diaspora, right? Where they're inviting people to say, okay, what are your concerns? Let's see if we can work them out. None of this stuff like the government is doing, where they're appointing people and they're telling people what to do. Essentially, what they're doing is they're developing spies to say, tell us what this panel, get close to these people and tell us what their mindset is. What are they thinking? What are they planning to do? But they will never penetrate this thing here, because we're a bunch of honorable, dedicated servants of Jamaica, and we want to see that rock turn into that jewel, that diamond that it is. That it's supposed to be.
100%.
I want to say though, and I've said it at a few other places before. You see the poll that just came out that showed the PNP is now leading the Jamaica Labour Party. The diaspora has played a very important role in all of that, and persons like yourselves have done so. The foundation of the People's National Party is with the diaspora. So the People's National Party has a great appreciation for the kind of contribution that we can get from our brothers and sisters who lives abroad. And I believe that we have to take it even more seriously in the next People's National Party government. The diaspora plays an important role. And while the Jamaica Labour Party has their trolls and they have their media people out there spreading their doctrine, persons like yourselves have countered it and have spoken out and brought them to books in a lot of cases. So you play a most important role, and I think we need to continue this discussion. I want to commend you, Wayne Lonesome, Rattigan, Jeffrey, Herb, all of you, and all the others, that have been out there batting for this beautiful country. It is not by mistake that the People's National Party is leading, and Wayne hasn't touched. I notice he has not touched that this evening at all.
Yeah, no, me touched that from early on, you know.
Okay, but I personally believe that
Yes.
the fact that Mark Golding made some strategic moves in bringing in most of the players in the PNP and unite, certainly give a appearance of unity, that has as a positive thing. And I think you have
and the fact that we here in the diaspora, we personally, because what we do, you know, we hold them accountable with it name fact check. Because we notice the local media houses, them not do not name fact check. So the man can come and say one thing and do other thing, but tell me what, me save all footage.
Yes.
So I'm ready to just wheel them out today and wheel them out tomorrow. I give him the coverage, you know.
Yes.
Because I'm the lightest man on the planet. I'm going to tell him straight. I'm not joke. I'm talking, you know.
Yes, actually, you're right, and I must say I'm a little disappointed in some of the mainstream media houses in Jamaica. I expect more from them in terms of holding the government accountable, doing more investigative journalism. I am very disappointed.
Yes,
in some of our
buyouts in the back pocket of politicians, sir.
That's true.
Space, so they have been bought out.
In the back pocket,
true.
I'm calling it a shovel.
Hold on, how many? There's a radio station in Jamaica now. The temperature is brought to you by the office of the Prime Minister. You don't hear it on Roots FM.
Hold on. Wait,
you don't hear it on XQYZ. But all they can hear, the temperature is brought to you by the office of the Prime Minister. The temperature is brought to you by the office of the Prime Minister.
Jeffrey, please repeat what you say. What kind of station?
What
mouthpiece. I'm not a radio station. A mouthpiece.
Yes.
Remember, it's a mouthpiece for the government.
Yes.
With Big Mama.
Yes.
You remember that, Jeffrey?
Yes.
A mouthpiece radio with Big Mama, starring Big Mama.
Yes.
And the Minions.
But again, I can't say it often enough. The role that the diaspora has played in the formation of the People's National Party, the development of the party, and the development of Jamaica. And I think you are going to have to play even a greater role in how we recoin this country. The diaspora is critical. We have probably more Jamaicans living abroad than living in Jamaica.
Yes.
You know, I mean, my family, a lot of them live abroad. So it's, you know, Florida is like Kingston 22 or 21. Yes. So it's important that you continue doing what you're doing. And I say to you, the People's National Party is called a national party deliberately by Norman Manley, because he wanted to include all groups, all the various groups that existed in the country, whether it is the civil servants, the teachers, the farmers, the middle class, the intellectuals, the business class, the working class, the trade unions. Everybody came together to form this party called the People's National. That's why it is called National. And of course, the Progressive League, which was the diaspora at the time, represented the diaspora at the time, was a part of this whole national movement. So the reason why the party is called a national party, because it included everyone nationally.
Okay, Mr. Hylton, I'd like you to touch on that point. If you should go back and run and become the member of parliament and become some minister of the new People's National Party government, would you press your party to put a member of the diaspora in the Jamaican Senate?
I think it's a plausible proposal, and I think I would personally support that. Yes, I believe that is important. How we select the person the procedure in selecting the person we may need to fine tune, but I believe it would be a good move. I think it needs to be done, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the PNP, but I'm certainly, and I will raise it with the leader and others. I believe that he would be very open, and the party would be very open to this idea, because that's who we are. We're a national movement. We're inclusive, and that is the culture of the People's National Party. We include, you know, when we had that wage freeze, and people don't understand what Nigel Clark is doing now. the PNP, Dr. Phillips, Horace Daly, went around the country and engaged the public sector workers and explained to them the challenges we were facing and what we had to do. It almost took us a year. We never push anything down people's throat. We are inclusive. We believe in having conversation with people. We believe that every sector of the society has a voice at the table. And I don't see why the People's National Party would not support having a senator that represents the diaspora. I think it's something that we should do. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
And I certainly will campaign in my own right.
And
Okay,
1 minute, Wayne. 1 minute, please. You have to do I think it's a referendum have to be done pertaining to getting a person to get into the Senate because the person is outside of Jamaica. I hope I'm saying this correctly.
No, man, them can use Jeffrey. Them can use legislation and change up.
Yeah, but it has to be a process, Wayne.
Legislation.
No, they have to amend the constitution.
Yeah, but them do it in a legislation.
Yes, but what I'm saying to you, even if they amend the constitution,
yes,
they have to go through another process of certain things. Is the PNP willing to do that? And one more thing, is the PNP willing to do that? Another thing, do you believe that if the Prime Minister had dialogue with the transport sector, it wouldn't blow the proportion like how it blown the proportion, sir?
I fully agree with you. This government has not done enough in consulting the citizens of this country. Now, in most of the things they do, and it gives the impression that they're just shoving things down people's throats. And again, look at the poll, and the PNP is on a roll, because people are realizing that there's governments and there's government. PNP and JP is not the same. We believe in consultation, and I don't know what the legal ramifications are for getting a senator from the diaspora, but I think if any party that can do it, the PNP can, and the party that will do it, PNP will. And I'm sure Mark Golding and the PNP team is certainly willing to look at that. And I'm sure, Wayne, you have had him on your program before.
Of course.
Yes, so you need to.
I'm going to carry him back. I'm going to carry Damon Crawford tomorrow.
Yes, and I believe you should ask him that question, and I will raise it at the People's National Party executive. I don't know the legal ramification, but I'm going to raise it at our executive meeting.
Here's the issue. Here's one of the issues with that.
Sorry, Ratty, 1 minute, Ratty.
Sure.
And just remember, right? We in the diaspora, the contribution over 3 billion to the economy every year.
Absolutely.
So we are the number one. Not even tourism carrying so much money.
And by the way, Herb made a point earlier. I wanted to make a comment on this business of election scrutineers or election observation observers. I think Capri has been doing a very good job. We had the Carter group that came here too. But I believe there's a place for the diaspora we're talking about vote buying on election day. I think the diaspora has a role to play and Mr. Rattigan, this is right up your street. The diaspora organized could actually send a team of people here to observe the 63 constituencies and find where to try and reduce this business of vote buying. It's a serious matter, and we can work with Capri. I think Capri has done a good job, but we could strengthen Capri to get involved with observing the election and try to prevent some of this illegal activity that is taking place.
Herb's Institute would be perfect for that, and I'll let him speak on that. But let me
Herb
just
Institute.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it like that. It's not Herb. Herb is an associate at that institute. It's a Caribbean. Caribbean
Institute of Caribbean
Caribbeans.
Studies.
Yeah, Institute of
Crime
Caribbean.
and Security Committee group.
Yeah,
right.
It threatens our democracy, and we have to be. It's something that seriously needs to be looked at. And Herb, it's something I think if you can raise at your organization, and as I said, because Capri in Jamaica, I think does a good job. But it needs to be strengthened.
Let me just say that
quickly, Will, add this to your comments. American citizens or dual nationals, members of SSL, who have been taken down by the bank or who have lost funds, are they eligible to report it to HSI in Jamaica, which is Homeland Security Investigations, or the FBI, Legat, who's in Jamaica? Can they report it and begin their cases there?
I think Rattigan has to answer that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that one fall in your lap.
No, they can report it. They can report it. But let me just ask you this question. No, finish up, Earth. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, because I feel that reports have been made already.
Okay.
And maybe we're just not aware of it. Right? You can't have a situation like that with this SSL who does some really abnormal investing, and who, if you recall the part where one CEO came in and the son of the owner was being relieved, right? And then the CEO took a look at a plan that he had, and he realized that he had no money to suit the plan. In other words, he was making a major investment and he didn't have the money to suit it. And the only place that money could have come from is from the accounts within SSL. And he just scrapped the program altogether. So, we have to look at the facts. And we can make up our own minds about the facts. But the bottom line is American citizens who are Jamaicans or any other Caribbean nationality, dual nationals, they have the right to go to HSI and the FBI and report their cases.
Mm-hmm. No. Let me just add this piece based on what Jeffrey said. In order for a diaspora member to take a seat in the Senate, it's going to require two things. It's going to require constitutional amendment, and it's going to require a referendum. Now, way back when, I think it's early 2000s, whatever, there were discussions about whether or not a diaspora member should take a seat and how it was going to be arranged and so on and so forth. And then in 2010, there was a bipartisan committee that agreed that, yes, the diaspora should have a seat in the Senate. That's 2010. And here we are, 2023. Both parties agree in 2010 that this should take place. And what is it? 13 years later, nothing.
But Ratty, look what's simple now, right? If remember, you can live in Canada, America, and you also live in Jamaica, 6 months at a time at a place, and right? And you're down there, and if you live in Jamaica, them can come and say, okay, you're a senator. But you live in the diaspora same way.
Right.
So it not take them nothing after we have spent over $3 billion.
But
here's the part that is it.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second. Here's the part that's interesting. 2010, both parties said yes, they should have it. And here are the requirements. You need constitutional amendment and you need a referendum. Since 2010, they have amended the Constitution.
Oh, they
since 2010 already. It's been amended. Constitution has been amended since 2010, but they didn't put this in there. They didn't put this.
So they amended the Constitution. They never put it in there.
It never put it in.
The Constitution changes.
Yeah, even though they talked about it. They talked about it in 2010. I think the last time they amended the Constitution, I think it was 2016 or somewhere.
But they never put it in it.
And they never put it in it.
Local government, yeah.
They never put it in it. They never put it in it. So the question then is, when will they put it in it? Because that was the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, because you have to put it in the Constitution.
You have to put it in the and then you do the referendum. And then
you have
neither.
to do the Constitution.
What we need to do, gentlemen, in the diaspora, what the diaspora need to do is simple: sell the two political parties. Not one red cent to run in the campaign until you all can put this legislation through Parliament to put a member of the diaspora in the Senate. Not one more red cent. And say they know do something about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I must say though that the People's National Party has had persons from the diaspora representing their groups both at conference. For instance, we have someone from the UK who is a member of the executive, who sits on the executive, who represents the UK grouping. And so there's some interaction with the People's National Party and the diaspora. But every conference that the PNP has at the national arena, there's members of the Jamaica National Movement that comes there, the Progressive League, etc. Groups like these that participate. So we have started, and not so we have started. We have always had this kind of relationship and involvement and association with different groups, and they're very intimately involved with the running of the PNP. But yes, I'm saying that I'm in agreement that this should happen, and I think there's some laws that needs to be changed and the constitution needs to be amended. But
of course, you need to.
And also, if your party become the next government,
which we will.
Okay, the PNP will become the next government.
Yes.
Will you and your party treat the teachers and the police officers of this country better? And will the People's National Party appoint a member of the diaspora as commissioner of police?
I can't answer on behalf of the party on those matters. I can give a personal opinion that I don't see where there's, if we have a Jamaican living abroad who is qualified, capable, willing, and able, then I don't see why. Yeah, we have.
They bring in Herb, you bring in Herb, and then you bring in Jeffrey.
No, but it's look.
That's the question.
If we are going to transform Jamaica, it is going to require the full involvement of the diaspora.
Yes.
We can't play lip service to the diaspora forever. If we are serious and we want your money, but we want you to be involved with God. I've always said, that if 20% of Jamaicans who live abroad come back home and invest in Jamaica and get involved with governance in Jamaica, Jamaica will be transformed overnight. But I said the three things: return, invest, and get involved with the governance, just like you are doing here.
Yes.
I believe we can transform Jamaica. So I'm a disciple of this policy. And I believe that the party is supportive of such things. We have no insecurity about a Jamaican becoming commissioner or holding any position in Jamaica. I think we should encourage. You have left your homeland, you go abroad, you've gotten a lot of experience. And we want you to come back home to help us with that experience. And it's something that the PNP definitely will encourage. And I believe with
I'm looking on the next commissioner side, right below me right here, so I want to move goods and put a real commissioner in a place.
And the senior advisor to the commissioner is up top of you, Sir Hylton. So Herb Nelson.
See the senior advisor over there?
If we
have to file them, So
so
a lot of people may have sent me have some cough. Hey, Will.
if we had a Herb Nelson Jr., a Wilfred Rattigan, other Jamaicans who have law enforcement credential behind their name, crime situation in our country go down. But why they don't want Wilfred Rattigan or Herb Nelson to come in? Because they will dig deep into the corruption that is going on in the country.
And we have the files. And don't forget to say we have the files.
There's an enormous pool of talent in the diaspora, UK, Canada, England, and other places that we must, as I said before, we must get involved with the governance of our country. I believe that it is something that needs to happen, and the People's National Party, I am sure, will be having discussions along those lines.
You know what, Mr. Hylton? I'm looking online here at the number of times the Jamaican Constitution has been amended, and it's been amended, I think, several times in 2011, I think 2016 or whatever. Plenty of time that both parties could have said, okay, you know, let's give the diaspora what they want. Let's give them a seat and then let's take it. But that's just halfway to the finish line. Them leave it out. Them never put that, like this one I'm looking at in 2011 had to do with the death penalty and the role of the Governor General.
And them just amend it right. Them look through the whole constitution right now. Them
apply. So them could have amend it and do the referendum.
They amend the constitution to suit themselves and themselves only.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a perfect time now that we're discussing the removal of the monarchy. The Minister of Constitutional Affairs should place it on the agenda, I believe.
That Minister of Constitutional Affairs.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. But it's a time, if we're going to go to the people with a referendum, then that should be a part of it. I'm sure our party leader, who's very affair with these matters, will contemplate it. And as I said before, I will raise it at other places, and you know, it's as a concern from the diaspora. Certainly will.
Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap up now though because of 3 hours marathon.
You know something. We're not talking about none of the things. Then we're
gonna leave some for Damien tomorrow. You know.
Okay, because I'm looking at my screen here, and all of them we tell me to bring up. I have them here, you know. I have all of them.
No, man, them there for Damien Crawford, man.
Okay,
so
all right.
We have to leave some for Damien. So we're not
We
have 3 hours. But thank you, know, for the 3 hours. 3 hours.
I enjoyed it, man.
I tell you something before you leave, though. We have people up here, and them just a zup and run off and come on back, and just a zup and says the hours are ready, you know, Mr. Lonesome. After, you know, we'll here. Yes.
No, it's a real lively show, and I'm very happy to be here.
All right, good.
As I said before,
invite you back again. And remember now, if you apply back for your seat,
man. You should.
Apply back for us.
Yeah. I support that.
Once I will get the support from the diaspora, it certainly would be an encouragement.
No, we support that because remember, you know, we want to see if you want to see what you do. We see what you do. We see you have a company where, and we see it move. We see jump on our Google the other day, you know. You see, we tell us we keep files, you know.
I've been in business for 41 years.
I know. You don't have to tell me we know we have your file too.
Andre, listen, you don't have to worry about getting money to run. I know Wayne himself will sign a check for up to $100,000.
That's true.
And sure you take off.
And I can tell you that Jeffrey will sign one for 200 and Herb will sign one for 300, and I will bring all 3 checks to you.
What you gonna say?
No man, 500.
Because remember, I have Senator Morris no one to sign to, you know. Because I'm backing her 100%.
But seriously, Mr. Hylton, seriously, you are, you know, you're a tribute to the country, and I just hope and pray that you will consider running again, because I think that you have a place in Jamaican politics. I like your message, I like your demeanor, and I'm not the only person. I'm sure the panelists do, and the people of Jamaica, they'll benefit greatly by having you back where you rightly belong, sir.
You know what, Turati? You know, when you talk to Mr. Hylton, him know if I'm but and shuffle like a Google Gaga. Like the one where they pan and run. You remember when you ask some question, you do one question, run. Mr. Hylton just talk straight to us, zoom. And that me like, you know, you ask a question, you can just get some straight answers.
True.
You know, when some of them have built up some lies, you know, them go around the sun, to around the sun, go and then jump off a line and like somebody cut them off and then come on back.
Another thing is that this whole exercise, this 3 hour exercise, what I learned is that if him don't know the answer, I'm telling you, look, I don't really know the answer. I'll look into it. And him not make up answers. Him not making up answers.
Yes.
You know, like some of the people who come on the program make up answers.
Yeah, but
you know, before we go, I must tell Mr. Hylton, I'm gonna invite him on my program, Make We Talk, on Rules 96.1 FM. But before we go, Mr. Hylton, your views on the postponement of the local government election?
I think it's an insult to the Jamaican people, and you know, it speaks to the kind of government that we have that keeps making promises and changing. And it's 3 years now. COVID was a good excuse, but thereafter it should not have been postponed. Win or lose, you should have it. And both political parties understood that this was used in the past to test the ground, call it when it suits them. And we both decided that this was wrong. We changed the constitution to give the local government a 4-year timeline, and this is the first time that it is being tested. And Andrew Holness has proven that he has no respect for what we placed in the constitution at all.
No, this is the same prime minister. We're going to run right now, but this was the same prime minister who said him going to change to, when say going to change in 2016?
Him going to change, they have job letter, term limits, CCJ, fixed election date.
Fixed election date.
Yeah.
Fixed election date. Why, everything where I'm saying now, then him come and him do it and do the worst thing. I want to listen. I the lightest man that on the planet, and then him have a misinformation minister second to him.
Yeah.
Second to him.
You have to play for Mr. Hylton. You have to play what the minister say, man.
Yeah.
I'm try to get it because I'm going to
send it to you. I'm send it to you.
I'm try to find it because I'm see
Mr. Hylton, you have to listen to this thing.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to find it.
But the polls is telling you, the polls is telling us that the Jamaican people are tired of this kind of lack of integrity.
All right, here, Mr. Hylton, here where the misinformation minister said, Sir Bug Life, you hear this?
I've always said to people, do not trust the words of politicians. I've always said to people, do not trust the words of politicians.
This is the message from Sir Bug Life, misinformation minister.
I've always said to people, do not trust the words of politicians.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear him no more.
So in other words,
Bug Life.
When the Prime Minister said in my first 100 days, let us put up, we do not trust the word of politicians.
Yes. So every time him said the Prime Minister said, then you play that. You just see it right there.
Well, let me try to give his final word and then we go.
Well, let me just comment on that. Is the PNP is not perfect. However, the PNP has for many years tried to live up to the expectations and the commitment that they have given to the Jamaican people. We have tried. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but we have tried. We're nowhere can be compared with this Jamaica Labour Party government. PNP and JLP is not the same. But let me just say, we're low and some. It was a pleasure being here. And I'm among eminent members of the diaspora. You have been doing a great job, and Jamaica is eternally grateful to what you have been doing, because the polls in favor of the polls showing what has happened to the JLP is not by mistake. It is work that you have been doing. And also, it's not by mistake that the PNP is gaining. It is work that the PNP has done. But you're doing your part to refashion this beautiful country, and I want to encourage you to do that. And I thank you for your kind words. I'm humbled. I appreciate it. I just keep the things simple and straight.
Simple and straight.
I don't really go around the bush with things. I just keep it simple and straight. And I'm proud to be a member of the PNP. I calculated carefully when I became a member of the PNP.
All right.
And I'm happy to serve the Jamaican people. And I will do what I can do to make this country a wonderful place that all of can come back home.
Yes, and I hope you carry my sentiments to the good lady of the Senate.
Yes, I will.
Also, let she become the forefront of the young people in Jamaica. And
she is. She's a
YO
president.
Yeah,
man.
All right.
Thank you.
All the best, Sir Hylton.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, later.
Cheers.